great environment here on the campus of Saginaw Valley State University. We are at the Riders Center, and it's the first Robotics Gameday Michigan State Championships. We welcome you inside along with Dan Kimura. I'm Dan Gutowski. And Dan, we have had so many great high school students working the last several weeks and months getting their robots ready to compete. Everything pays off today.
Yeah, we have almost 540 teams here in Michigan. The top 160 qualify for the state championship. We've actually got 4 different divisions here with 40 teams in each division. So each division will have a playoff, crown a winner. We'll take the 4 winners, come together for a Final Four, and crown a state champion.
Yeah, this year's game theme is called Destination Deep Space. Let's get the game overview and how the scoring will play out today.
So this year's game is called Destination Deep Space. It is played on a 27 by 54 foot field, so it's pretty big. Robots can be up to 120 pounds, not including their bumpers or batteries. We play a 2-minute and 30-second match, the first 15 seconds of which is something that we call a sandstorm period. So in the sandstorm period, you can see these curtains getting lowered here. These curtains will block the view of the drivers, so they're driving blind. They've got to use sensors and other things on their robot to give them a chance to try to maneuver the field and score some points. Additionally, they were starting on that platform. We call that the hab. If they start on the lowest level and fully leave it, they'll get 3 points. If they start on the middle level and fully leave, they'll get 6. After the 15 seconds, you can see that curtain there winding up and getting out of the way. This is now driver control. These are hatch panels that they're trying to score. The hatch panels, you can place 1 per hatch opening on the field. They're going to be 2 points apiece. The important part, though, with the hatch panels is you have to cover the hatches to be able to score the balls later. There are 12 openings on the rocket ship and 8 more on that center structure, which we call a cargo ship, to score those hatch panels. Now we can see the cargo. These are playground balls, a lot like a dodgeball. They can get then placed inside anywhere that there is a hatch panel to hold them in place, and every ball that you score is going to be worth 3 points. Then you basically use the rest of the driver control period to score as many balls as you can. It is full contact. There will be defense being played as well, just to get ready for the end game. The end game is going to be about the last 30 seconds of the match. And you can see that you want to get back on this habitat, this platform. If you make it fully on the first level, it's going to be 3 points. If you can get all the way up on that second level, it's going to be 6 points. And if you can make it all the way up to the top one, that's going to be 12 points. And we got a great shot of that happening right here.
Yeah, these are high-level robots all ready to get their last chance to compete against their rivals in-state. The world's competition is coming up later on, but Dan, this is a great chance to really see how these robots operate.
Yeah, for sure, and this is a really grueling test. Again, we've come from 28 district events, really whittled the field down to the best of the best, and every alliance here is strong. Every alliance here can make a run and defeat anybody else.
We'll get started in just a moment. Our first semifinal match when we come back to the Riders Center. It's Michigan First Robotics Gameday Championship when we come back.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
First Robotics Game Day is brought to you by DTE Foundation, Dow Chemical, Ford Motor Company, and Consumers Energy.
We're back here at the Riders Center. Right now, let's go downstairs and in the pits as we join the third member of our broadcast. That's Chris Fosters.
What's up, fellas? It's great to be with you. Sort of the calm before the storm brewing behind me right now. We're in between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. This place was packed and very loud less than an hour ago, in fact, and it's going to get that way again once the semifinals start. There's a lot to keep your eye on in the field today in the semifinal round. Just about every robot very, very capable. I'm going to be watching Robot 33, the Killer Bees out of Pontiac, Michigan. Dan Kimura tells me that they have 3 robot capability, which means they could potentially lift all 3 robots onto the 3rd platform in the Hab climb. That would be Boku points, 36 if my math does me correctly, and that would bring the house down here if it's executed correctly. This event, the state championship in Michigan, gets bigger and better every year. Folks around here have told me that the Michigan State Championship is even more competitive than the World Championship, so I can't wait. It's great to be a part of this with you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Many, many great robots to be watching, paying attention to here. That will certainly be one of them, and we'll be keeping tabs on all of them as the semifinals get started in just a bit. We'll get back with Chris. One of the great aspects of this event that really gets a lot of help is the sponsors that get involved. They are so important towards helping these kids, making these teams great, making their robots great. Let's get back together with Chris and get an interview with one of the great corporate sponsors here today at the Riders Center.
Dan, thank you so much. We're delighted now to be joined by Mary Draves, who's representing Dow Chemical, one of the fantastic sponsors of this event. Mary, it's great to be with you. On a personal note, we've known each other for a few years now, so it's great to connect with you at a fantastic event like this. You're a mother. We were just looking over our shoulders at the electric atmosphere here, and you've been to a lot of sporting events for your kids. What do you think of this?
Chris, it's great to see you too. It's been a long time, and I was excited when we came up for the interview. This is nuts, isn't it? It is just, I mean, this arena is hopping. I mean, the kids are engaged, the parents are around the edge, it's all engaged, the bands are playing. I mean, this is where it's at today in the Great Lakes Bay region.
Dow is, of course, one of the biggest corporations in the world, rooted here in Michigan, not very far from Saginaw in Midland. Why do you think they want to be involved in an event like First Robotics?
You know, Chris, as we look out onto this field, these are the kids that are going to come work for Dow in the future. This is our talent pool, and you know, there's no greater place for us to be than right here watching them develop and learn.
And exposure for First Robotics might be a little bit new as far as it relates to ESPN, etc. But this is an event that's been going on for about 30 years, and so you already have some Dow employees that are First Robotics alumni, if you will, right?
Yes, we do. We have a really great alumni. Her name is Ellen Green. I met her at the district event. Ellen works for us as a site logistics improvement engineer. Great young lady, and she's also back mentoring a team, which is even more powerful.
I think the inclusion aspect of First Robotics is one of its many strengths. You can come in any shape or size and be involved in this. And I know that's a big part and an initiative for Dow's workforce going forward too, right?
Absolutely. Inclusion is paramount to success. You know, I've been to a couple of these now, and I walk through the pits, and what you see in the pits is everyone and everything, every person, every kind of individual. You have people who are creative, you have people who code, you have people who run the safety program, and they're all part of making that team a success. And that's what inclusion's about, is that everyone brings their skill set with them to make things successful.
And going forward, what do you think are some of the challenges in the industry today, and how do you think an event like First Robotics can help the youth of the world today prepare themselves to take on those challenges?
You know, Chris, we have a number of challenges, and I think the one that we all talk about now is plastics waste in the environment, right? But what we really need is that collaborative work and also creativity. And what you see here is exactly that. You see collaboration at its best, and you see creativity coming forward. I don't know about you, but there's some pretty amazing robots down there.
There certainly are, and I have to ask, you know, you're very good on the marketing side. You're very presentable. Is that what you would have? Is that what your role would have been if you had done robotics, or would you have been a driver or something like that?
I don't know. I probably a driver. I kind of have that need for speed sometimes, so maybe a driver. I'm not real sure.
Mary Draves of Dow Chemical, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Chris, great to see you, and thanks for having me.
Pleasure is all ours. Dan, take it away.
All right, Chris, thanks. We're going to step aside and come back and get going with our first quarterfinal match of the afternoon here at Saginaw Valley State. We'll continue. It's the Michigan State Championship, first in Michigan, robotics. Back in a moment.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment? DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
All right, we'll move ahead into probably our final match as the best of three continues with an 8 alliance taking on a 2 alliance. So the plucky Red Alliance is the one that's maybe the underdog here as we kind of take a look at the teams finally working on their robots, getting things prepped. Here's the way Alliance 8 breaks down. The Tech Vikes from Hopkins, Mars Rovers from Muskegon, and Blitzkrieg from Bullock Creek.
Yeah, and so as an 8 seed, right, they took out our number 1 seed in the quarterfinals. They took out our number 4 seed in the semifinals, and now here they are facing off against the number 2 seed in the finals.
And they just put up 95 points in the previous match to force this third match, the third final. Here's the Blue Alliance here. Some big heavyweights, OS Crew, the Robo Stangs, and the Strike Force. That is a robot you must watch.
Yep, and I got to reiterate, Strike Force is a reigning world champion right now. They've got a great swerve drive on their robot. That means it can go in any direction. Look for defense to be played on them, but them to use some spin moves to get around it.
Yeah, Strike Force, think of a robot that can pivot, but still has a lot of size and whatnot. So we start with our Sandstorm. Again, just 15 seconds of autonomous driving, and then the curtains will get raised, and we'll get into the thick of it. Looks like a good start in the Sandstorm for both alliances.
A little bit better for Blue. Strike Force got a hatch panel up to trap a cargo ball. 5-point edge there. 4004 has not been able to do the same, and now they're pinned in place by some pretty good defense by that 77-69 robot.
Blitzkrieg going right on defense for the Red Alliance as they take it to Strike Force. Strike Force very hard to move. We've already watched them drop a cargo ball and then a hatch panel. That's really a robot that's going to get you a lot of points.
Yeah, and a good spin there in traffic, in tight traffic. I think they're going to be able to finish this score off as well. Oh, nope. The driver
mishandled the cargo ball.
Yeah, the driver made a little rotation there when he didn't need to. And I think that is going to be the tail of the tape. So Strike Force needs to get shut down. It's going to be on Bullock Creek over there to do that. And if they can, then our number 8 could have their upset. Meanwhile, the Tech Vikes, unopposed, undefended on our near side rocket. They've got, I think, 3 hatch panels and a cargo ball already. So it's a good start for them.
Still Red Alliance trailing, though, as we watched Blue Alliance gobbling up hatch panels, loading them up on their rocket. Having a little bit of a tough time. Now they place it well. That's Velcro that's holding the hatch panel up onto the rocket.
And we got to keep an eye on 4004. They're going to try to catch up by putting those cargo points in the cargo ship and this near side rocket. They have lots of places to score. The Blue Alliance has less places to score right now, but obviously they have the big lead on the scoreboard.
OS Crew for the Blue Alliance playing a lot of defense. Now we're getting close to these alliances. Robots starting their climb, starting with the OS Crew. Going right up on that center panel, that highest panel. That's the first robot to make their climb.
They've been a good change of plans there by the Tech Vikes. They went from a hatch panel to a cargo ball. That's worth 1 extra point. We can see a late rush by Red as they got 4 cargo balls in.
Tech Vikes starting their climb. That's them going into the center spot with Muskegon, the Mars Rovers robot, kind of offline and they're going to miss. Yep. They're going to be in a bad position. Blue Alliance, all of their robots on that level.
We saw a reversal this time. In an earlier match, we saw Bullet Creek trapping 77-69 on the far side of the field. This time, Bullet Creek defending too late against Strikeforce. Strikeforce actually trapped them on the other side. So while Strikeforce did get up for the level 1 climb for 3 points, Bullet Creek, just about to the rocket, they're still 10 feet away.
It's close on the scoreboard now, but they're going to have to tally everything up. And the way the Blue Alliance was celebrating in their side of the pits, they think they're moving on, and the Rockets and the Blue Alliance, they are moving in and advancing as the OS Crew, Strikeforce, and Robo Stangs.
Yep, no penalties to change the outcome there. We could see that, Blue did have a small advantage in terms of points scored on the field, cargo and hatch panels, and then the extra 3 points in the end game with Strikeforce getting up, Bullet Creek not, and remember, this Red Alliance had been putting a second robot on level 2, so they actually left 6 points on the table there in the end game.
So a great effort by Red Alliance. 70 points is pretty good, but the Blue Alliance rallying with a little bit of an advantage in cargo. The hatch panels, they had an advantage as well. So a well-done job by 3 very good robots working in unison.
Yeah, a couple close matches, but they were able to come ahead. They kind of cut our 8 seeds Cinderella story short a little bit here, but a great match played, and it's going to be good to see Strikeforce back on, our final field here for the final 4 alliances.
Yeah, this has been a crazy day so far here. Tons of activity here at the Ryder Center at Saginaw Valley State, and the Robo Stangs. This is familiar territory for them, for Strikeforce as well. Let's pick it up with our highlight package and see how it all unfolded.
And so 548 missing that hatch panel, and they need to work on that for this afternoon. But 27-67 doing a great job of placing that one. Remember, a ball starts in that cargo spot. So if you can get the hatch panel up, you get a free 3-point ball score as well. 4004 there fighting through the defense to try to do it. They were not successful. And that led to a huge difference in the score early on. Good look at that Strikeforce robot. Just kind of sliding sideways around the defense there. And then here's sort of half a spin move. And this, I think, was where the driver has it.
Lost it.
But lost it. And this is the other thing. That arm can score on either side. So if you're defending them in front, you don't know if they're going left or right or spinning or what they're going to do. They're a very hard robot to shut down. And good finesse on that one. 4004 doing the same thing on the other side. This was towards the end of the match. Red made a rally, scoring 4 balls in here very, very fast. And Tech Vikes here locking down that level 3 climb, but we're not getting 4004 up to level 2.
So the Blue Alliance very strong, and they will be an alliance to watch going forward. And with that centerpiece robot, Strikeforce, make sure and keep tabs on them. Let's go in the pits and connect with Chris Foster. Chris?
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're joined by Greg, who is a member of that Blue Alliance that just won a thrilling best-of-3 quarterfinal. They are the champions of the DTE field. You're taking home a banner, and you're going to the semifinals. Now, you're the 2-time defending world champions, but how competitive was that quarterfinal?
It was extremely competitive. It was an extremely difficult match. We knew it from the beginning. Alliance 8 just has 3 really good robots. This is a very competitive field, just very deep picks.
That 8th Alliance was sort of the Cinderella story of the tournament so far. Did it feel extra difficult having to knock out the crowd favorite?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're it's kind of like underdogs. You see them kind of rise up through the ranks, and they're beating really good teams, really good alliances. So it feels really good to be able to defeat them in the end. It's a very tough match. They played really well. We played really well. Overall, a really great match.
And again, talking about the competitiveness of the Michigan State Championship, you've got world championship experience, but how competitive do you think the Michigan State Championship is compared to the Worlds?
Oh, Michigan is right up there. Oh, it's right up there. Yeah, it's very, very close to Worlds. I think Michigan, for me, is almost like Worlds 2. It seems a little more competitive to me just because we know everybody here, so it's very, very close. It's very personal.
And what adjustments do you have to make now going into the semifinal?
Oh, not many adjustments. We just got to make sure everything's working good, just freshly tuned machine, make sure everything's going well, and then we're going to just play our hearts out and hope for the best.
Great, congratulations. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. We are going to take a break and then come back. We'll be joined by the founder of First Robotics, Dean Kaman. It all started with him. We'll get some insight from him on today's event when we come back to Saginaw Valley State.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Teams starting to get in position for our first quarterfinal match, but first, let's rejoin Chris Fosters.
Dan, thank you so much. We have a very special interview right now as we're joined by Dean Kaman, the founder of First Robotics. It's so great to be with you here today. This is my first state championship. Of course, you've been with this operation since the beginning, and it is so cool to be here.
Thank you for being here, and it's extra special to us that you're from ESPN. For years and years, the press we'd get would be, it's sort of a science fair, it's sort of a sport, but the credibility of having ESPN project this to your community, we're a real sport. In fact, we're the only sport where every kid on every team can turn pro. We're as exciting as all the others, and by the way, I love all the other sports. In fact, I modeled first on sports because kids get passionate about sports. And in a free country, in a country like America, you get the best of what you celebrate. We can't tell kids to study math for 6 hours a day, but they'll practice sports for 6 hours a day because they want to. The goal of First was create an event that is every bit as exciting and enticing to kids as anything else they get a passion to do, except make sure that the content of what we give them is the basis of building careers to solve the world's problems. And we've done it.
Well, looking over my shoulder, I think you've got the excitement packaged down to a T. And you told me right before we started this that robotics is the best kept secret in the sports world. And what steps do you think need to be taken further to make this no longer a secret, but a well-known message?
I think we just took the first step by having ESPN, not just because of your reach to the public, but because of what you represent. When it's ESPN talking about us, it's real. It's a sport. So thank you for doing this, but I think once your viewers see that we have the excitement, the close 2 seconds, the final shot, everything about other sports, from the school bands and the mascots and the rivalries. We've been at it now nearly 30 years, and there are some really big rivalries among our teams. And of course, Michigan is one of the powerhouse states for First. You've got hundreds. You now have thousands of First teams here. So I think once ESPN presents us to the world the same way you present all the other exciting sports to the world, we have taken our first step of becoming truly part of the culture of this country.
You mentioned that you're a sports fan yourself and that this is actually a competitive sport. All of the competitive athletes, if you will, have a chance to go pro. What motivated you nearly 30 years ago to start this, and what was your vision back then?
My vision back then, and it hasn't changed a bit, was that while a lot of serious people in corporations, in government, parents, teachers, all recognize the same thing. As the world gets more sophisticated, as innovation is accelerating around the world, if America wants to keep its preeminent place in the world, if we want to have the best economy, if we want to have the high standard of living, if we want to have great careers, we have to have more and more kids, particularly women and minorities that never thought about careers in technology. They have to be drawn to it, and you can't force a kid to want to do something. And we have huge, frankly, distractions from learning science and technology because we are a country that just has every manner of sports out there to lure these kids to say, isn't this fun, isn't that fun, isn't that fun? And kids want to have fun. So we said back in the beginning, we're not competing with science fairs. We're not blaming teachers for the fact that kids don't spend time with us. No. In a free culture where you get what you celebrate, we're simply going to ask major corporate sponsors to deliver to us the superstars of tech the way that the NBA and the NFL do, and we're going to create an army of kids that at a very young age realize, wow, I can do this. If I put as much energy into this as any other sport, I can excel. But the big advantage that they have here is there aren't 7 million jobs right now open in the NBA or the NFL. There are 7 million open career opportunities for kids that know how to write code or design autonomous machines or build the future of America or cure diseases. So we said 30 years ago, if we can get to the hearts and minds of kids by showing them that science and technology and engineering and math are every bit as accessible and every bit as rewarding and every bit as much fun as bouncing a ball, we'll win. But we needed people like ESPN to show that this is exciting.
There were 28 teams nearly 30 years ago when you had your first year of FIRST Robotics, and enrollment has since expanded to 78,000. Your vision is becoming a reality. This is a fantastic sport for us to cover, and Dean Kaman, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for helping.
Dan, guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. Yes, Dean Kaman, truly a role model and an inspiration for all the kids and everyone here at Saginaw Valley State. A timeout here, more coverage of the first in Michigan Robotics State Championship.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. Get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Still in this waiting pattern, holding up for the everyone to shift to the main venue or the main field now, which will be the DTE Foundation field. While that's ongoing, we're going to take another step aside and rejoin Chris, who's talking with another corporate sponsor.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. We're joined by a fantastic sponsor of this event, Leroy Wells, the Vice President of Consumers Energy. It's great to be with you here today for the first Robotics State Championship. And look, a pun intended here, but if you could bottle up all the energy inside the Riders Center right now, you'd have a pretty good product. Tell me what you think about the atmosphere here.
Oh, the atmosphere here is electric, and you're right. If we were able to bottle up this energy, we wouldn't have to purchase as many assets to power Michigan. So
I completely agree. It's a great venue. It's a great event. And I know a little bit about your history. You went to Michigan Tech.
Yes.
You went to Flint Southwestern Academy. Yes. Were there any opportunities like this for you when you were these kids' age?
No, there weren't any opportunities like this. Actually, when I was going to school, whether it was middle school or high school. So that's what's so exciting about this, that these kids can really experience what I experienced during college. I mean, the challenges that they have before them, the innovation that they use, the creativity and ability to design robots, the teamwork is phenomenal. I was fortunate enough to play sports in high school, and the same type of collaboration, teamwork deadlines, the stress and the pressure that these kids are feeling is the same thing that I really value during the times I was playing sports.
I completely agree. You mentioned the comparison between a sporting event, and this feels like a sporting event, between the strategy, the teamwork, the competition, the highs and the lows. I mean, it's really, and it's exciting too, and it keeps you thinking on your toes and on your feet at all times.
Yes, exactly. This is a sport. I don't know what I've played other sports, but this is definitely a sport. And exactly, the deadlines, the teamwork, the strategy, all of the challenges that the teams really go through to build that camaraderie, it's real here. And as you can hear in the background, all the celebration and excitement and the joy you get for winning, you get it right here with First. And that's why we are such a great fans and supporters of First.
Yeah, and you've been with Consumers for 13 years, 2 years as the vice president. What are some of the things that you see going on here that can translate to a career at Consumers?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's a lot of things that are here. First of all, the gracious professionalism and how the teams work together and respect one another. And it's a win-win solution or combination. They're so great about helping one another, helping teams get better. And that's the same thing we harness at Consumers Energy and what we really love. The innovation that they display out here is exactly what we need today, and also to solve our energy crisis of the future. As some of you may know, we're getting rid of coal as a fuel supply. And so there's a lot of challenges and innovation that we need, and these are the type of students that we need to help us solve those in the near future.
Leroy Wells, Vice President of Consumers Energy, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Dan, back to you.
Well, I better grab mine down here and then wait.
We're getting geared up for the semifinals here at the Ryder Center. More when we continue from SVSU. Okay. We're back here with Dan Kimura, Dan Gutowski, and we are looking at the bracket for the DTE division, and you can kind of see the complicated road as to, you know, how the number 2 alliance ended up winning over the number 8 alliance. How do you describe how this bracket played out, Dan?
Yeah, huge surprise right off the bat with that number 8 seed upsetting our number 1 seed, and they made it all the way to the finals. They beat number 4 in the semifinals 2-0. But finally, our number 2 seed, you know, very strong alliance, 27-67, 2-time world champion, defending world champion, as well as their partners 548 and 7769. 2-0 in their quarters, 2-0 in their semis. It was very close in the finals. We ended up 2-1 there. A bunch of really close matches, but ultimately winning the last one fairly comfortably, 90-70, to punch their ticket here to our final field.
And now here's the Ford division as we look at that bracket. Quick thoughts on that.
Yep, it's a 6-2 run for our winners here again. That's the Gems, our number 3 seed, Gems, 3604 and 862. Again, it's been tough for most of our alliance here. They were 2-1 to win the quarterfinals, 2-0 in the semis, but again, going to 3 matches to win the finals.
And let's get an interview with the champions of that Ford division. We go back with Chris Fosters.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. We're delighted to be joined by Ethan now of Team 4362 out of Brighton. He's a member of the winning alliance that is taking home a banner as quarterfinal champions of Ford Field. Ethan, how does it feel?
It feels amazing. We came so close last year, and this year we took it all the way.
Now, you are a programmer, so what was your role up to this point in the competition so far?
My role up until now is to make the robot do everything it does. So it moves back and forth on the front of it. The elevator goes up and down and makes the drivetrain move, obviously, and we have a ton of automation based on our vision.
Any technical issues in the quarterfinal?
Yes. We didn't have our climber going up until now. We have it together, but it was put on the robot literally 30 seconds before going on the field.
Oh my gosh, and how did you fix that?
We broke all the welds earlier on, so we had people running back and forth behind the scenes to weld it, and then we literally put it on the floor and poured water on it to cool it off in time.
Nothing like thinking on the fly. Congratulations on making an adjustment like that. Now, do you think it's sustainable because you're still competing and going to the semifinal?
Absolutely. We've been running without it up until this point, and if we do use it, it'll just be an improvement to what we already have to allow our teammates to cycle alongside us.
Now, what do you plan to do until that semifinal round gets started?
Absolutely, we strategize. We have friends on every field, and we have match videos for all the alliances, the one on the other ones, and we're ready to go.
Congratulations, Ethan. Looking forward to seeing you in the semis.
Thank you, as am I.
Fellas, take it away.
Thank you, Chris. And we'll move to the other bracket. This is the Consumers Energy Division Championship. Red Alliance, the number 1 alliance, they just kind of clicked right through.
Yeah, pretty easy road for them. Again, our first true number 1 seed, making it all the way through the bracket. 2-0 in the quarters, 2-0 in the semis. I think there might have actually been a third match in the finals. I think we might be off by one there. I think it was 2-1 in the finals, and actually the finals were extremely close for them. They ran into that number 2 seed, and the final match that sent them to our final field was just 88-85. So a 3-point victory deciding which of those 2 alliances are going to be joining us here this afternoon.
Let's talk to the winners in that division and rejoin Chris.
Dan, thanks. We've got Max with us of Team 5050 out of Carlton, Michigan. His team and his alliance recently took home the banner as champions of the Consumers Energy quarterfinal. You're going on to the semifinals. And looking at the field that you just came out of, you said you had to think through some stuff from a strategic perspective. What exactly did you have to game plan to grind out a win in the quarterfinal?
So we really had to figure out, when to play defense, when to play offense, when to have our third robot, the RoboShark, shift from offense to defense, when to have bees shift from offense to defense. And we had to adapt very, very quickly. In those last few matches, bees got their hatch mechanism stuck, so they had to run and play defense for a little bit. Our cargo intake exploded, so we were unable to score balls for a match. So it was all a matter of just being adaptable and figuring out what we needed to do and when we needed to do it.
Well, it sounds like you did a great job of that. Now, as Alliance captain, are you looking at your robot 50-50 primarily, or are you keeping your eye on the entire field?
We're keeping our eye on the entire field, right? So we're going into the interdivisional playoffs. We want to know kind of what all the ticks and tweaks of each division champion is so that we can prepare for it and be ready to adapt just like we did in our division.
What do you expect to see in the semifinals?
Lots of high scoring, maybe a few extra hab climbs more than the standard just one. Just things along those lines.
What about defense? Do you think that's going to play a bigger role as we work towards the championship rounds?
Yes. As the teams we're going to run into are going to be progressively stronger, so defense is going to become more important because that can be one of the easiest ways to slow them down.
Max, you've had a great run so far. Congratulations and good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Dan.
And the Dao Division is the fourth and final playing field and division here as we look at the number 1 seed, again, advancing all the way through.
Yeah, and this is a very strong number 1 seed. So 54-60 and 35-38, two of the best offensive robots in the state, I think, this year. But, 2-1 in the quarterfinals. Interestingly, they were red carded in that match, losing it because of a penalty. Semifinals, again, were close. So this is an alliance that when they click are going to put up huge numbers, but can run into some issues. And so they struggled a little bit in the semifinals, but came out completely firing in the finals.
And how did they do it? Chris Foster's talking with one of the winners of the Dao Division.
Dan, thank you very much. We are excited to be joined by the champion of the Dao field, the quarterfinal champion, and moving on to the semifinal round. His name is Parker. He's representing Team 54-60 out of Lapeer, Michigan. You're a sophomore, and you're already a driver for your team, and you've helped clinch one of the biggest wins in your 5-year program history. How does it feel?
It feels amazing to really get out there and do it. We've had good robots, but we never made it this far. It's our second win as a team, so it's really big for our team and for me.
And guys, be sure to check out the yellow band that he's got on his arm right now, trading in that green jersey for the Alliance captain band now as he's going on to the semifinal round. But reflecting back on the quarterfinal, you won in straight sets, but both wins were close. What went on?
It was very close matches. There was hard defense between both alliances, and it was just so close, and we beat them out with the points in the end. But it really was a strong, good match.
There's a fantastic crowd here. I'm sure you're aware of that now, but when you're driving and in the heat of a match, how aware are you of the noise in the crowd and factors like that?
Over the season, I've learned to block out these noises, and I really just listen to my drive coach and my operator. They tell me what to do and where to go if they have any other calls. But the crowd is really energetic and really gets us going, and so I had to go out there and do our best.
Congratulations, man. Good luck in the semifinals.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. The sought-after captain's band. Does every team have that?
That's actually given out by the essentially the crew running the event. There are some rules. So, for example, if you want to question a referee's call at the end of a match, the Alliance captain has to go into the box and be the person to do the talking. So we needed a way to mark them. I think you saw the green bibs that we had them wearing at our district events and earlier today. But now they will be wearing that, sporting that captain's armband, that kind of a soccer-esque thing going on.
All right, another good backstory as part of our coverage for the first in Michigan Robotics. We'll have more coming up in a moment as we gear up towards the semifinals. More in just a moment.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
So all the action now for the semifinals and finals shifting to the DTE Foundation field. And that gives us a nice segue to talk with someone from their great company as we rejoin Chris.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. We are delighted to be joined by a representative of the title sponsor of this event, the Senior Vice President of DTE, Heather Rivard, is with us now. This is the first time you've seen an event like this, but awfully cool to look over our shoulder and see DTE Foundation Field behind us. This is a great event for DTE employees, right?
Yes, it is. Several of our employees are directly involved in mentoring and coaching in addition to our financial support of the event.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think DTE wants to be involved in FIRST Robotics?
There's really two main reasons that come to mind. One is that we are really about giving back to the communities where we live and serve. That's a primary focus of our company. And so we like to bring STEM to some of the schools around our headquarters in Detroit and introduce it to kids that may not have otherwise been involved or been exposed to STEM. And then also it's just a great way to build future engineers and technical leaders that may end up working at DT someday, we can hope.
You're an aerospace engineer. You went to Michigan. When you see an event like this in your home state, do you wish that you had the opportunity to participate in something like this in high school?
Yes, I absolutely am jealous of what I missed out on. Graduated a few years too early to partake in these events. Wish I had a time machine and I could go back.
Well, I'm sure maybe someone here will develop a time machine down the road. You never know.
Yes, you never know.
With the skill sets that we're developing here, absolutely. But the theme of this year's competition, Operation Deep Space, what do you think of that, especially as an aerospace engineer? I mean,
yeah, I'm glad that this is my first year here. I picked the right year and the right theme. So, and it's very fun to watch all the competition and all the robots that everyone's created and how hard they've worked.
Well, this is a tremendous event. We can't thank you enough for being the title sponsor on behalf of DTE. Heather Rivard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Dan?
More when we continue here at the Saginaw Valley State University Riders Center. It's the first in Michigan State Championship when we continue.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
First in Michigan also gets great corporate support from the Ford Motor Company. Let's bring in Chris Fosters.
Dan, thank you very much. We're joined by Craig Stevens, who's representing Ford. He is the Director of Controls and Automative Systems. And first things first, you're not wearing a Ford shirt, you're actually wearing a team shirt. Ford is sponsoring 29 teams here at the first Robotics State Championship. Tell me about the team that you're repping.
So this is the Green Hills Lawnmowers 5530, and we were super excited this year. We actually won a district competition that got us here, and unfortunately we did lose out in the quarterfinals, but we've had a fabulous weekend and we're hoping that we'll be there at Worlds in 2 weeks.
Well, Ford has been a longtime sponsor of First Robotics, and tell me a little bit about what you do specifically for Ford.
So in my team, we are focused on, as the name suggests, controls and automated systems. That could be anything from powertrain controls, delivering reduced emissions, improved fuel economy, all the way through to automated vehicle technologies that you can buy on your vehicles today that help them park, collision avoidance, autonomous vehicles, and also manufacturing robotics, because we're looking to bring much more intelligence and automation into the manufacturing space with collaborative robots and automatically delivering stock to the line side and so on.
Well, there's a lot about your job that is germane to an event like First Robotics, and in particular this year, Ford is sponsoring the Autonomous Award for the first time. It's the first time there's been an Autonomous Award associated with First Robotics, and why do you think it's so important for Ford to be linked to the Autonomous Award?
We are always looking for ways that we can make our participation in FIRST more relevant. So we try and do that mainly through mentoring. We've got 500 mentors out there with nearly 90 FRC teams. And that engagement we think is important. We're looking for other ways to make it more relevant. And it occurred to us that you have this autonomous period at the beginning of every competition, and it doesn't really get recognized. And with where we're going in industry, I already talked about autonomous vehicles, making robots more collaborative in assembly plants. It's all about autonomy. And as artificial intelligence, machine learning comes in, that's going to be the things that happen in society. We're going to see robots appearing in all kinds of things. And these students are going to be the people who actually make that happen. So we thought about this idea of awarding a team who had not necessarily the best performance just during the autonomous period, but had the best automated features. And we talked to First about it. They were enthusiastic, so we piloted it last year at the World Championships. And I was really blown away by the teams that won. I asked them all, why do you think you won? And to read what they have done really just confirmed our hunch that this was something that would resonate with the teams. And we're hoping with this first full year that the teams will go away and they'll think about what could we do next year? Because, okay, it's not just about the award, but the more that you make your robot automated, you'll get more points. And you can relieve some of the stress off your drive teams. And that's exactly what we try and do in our vehicles, is how can we take stress away from the drivers by adding intelligent automation?
That's fascinating stuff. This event continues to get bigger and better every year. And thank you so much on behalf of Ford for representing First Robotics and your role in this event. It's a lot of fun.
We are just delighted to be here. Thank you very much.
Craig Stevens, guys, back to you.
All the alliances and robots have taken their test runs on the DTE Foundation field. That means the semifinals are next when we come back to SVSU.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Semifinals almost ready to launch here at Saginaw Valley State. One aspect, though, Dan, that we have focused on the last several weeks is watching these different robots and how they go about doing the climb at the end of each match. Each robot kind of has their own little unique way of getting that climb completed.
Yeah, this was an interesting challenge this year. We've never had anything quite like it before. Good look at a couple stilts going down on the first robot. This one, we've seen a few robots do this. They reach out, they're going to grab onto the platform, hold on tightly, and then flip the entire robot up on top.
Oh.
So definitely a few robots doing that. That one is a little scary because if you miss, no fixing that. This is a linkage, essentially. They're putting that foot down to lift them up and rock them up. And then on the back, you can see 226 and 904 doing two different heights of the same thing, where they sort of lowered both these legs. Again, 6100, same thing. And, of course, yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard method will get you on level 2 for 6 points. A little risky if you miss that jump. You can end up in those cargo balls on the side. And here was an attempt at a triple lift. So it's one robot with a robot on each wing trying to lift all three of them up to that top level. And I think we have one robot here on the final field that has that functionality, but I have not seen them use it yet.
You mentioned the Dukes of Hazzard approach. Let's be clear, there's no padding on that back wall. So when that robot is barreling towards those kids and you see them step back, well, that might be why.
And that's you too. You're driving the robot into yourself as you stand there. So, yeah.
That's the real deal. So here's the way the semifinals break down with, again, boy, there isn't just one good robot on each team. Where there's two, sometimes even three very good ones.
Yeah, and they're going to play different roles, but the DTE Foundation robot here, or DTE Foundation Field Champions. Again, we've been talking about 2767 Strike Force. They are, again, two-time world champion, defending world champion. They won last year in Detroit. They've got 548. The Robo-Stangs, they've got a state championship to their name. Two very established veteran teams. And they're going to be the offensive powerhouses on this alliance. They're going to look to work the two sides of the field, score as many points as they can. And 7769, that's a rookie team out here in the Final Four at the Michigan State Championship.
They are going to look to add a couple points here and there, but their primary role is going to be to cross the field and shut down the other team's score.
So again, all 4 of these alliances were champions of one of the respective fields here at the Ryder Center. And let's talk about the red team specifically. Robo Stangs, Strike Force, and the OS crew. Very deep, very talented.
Yeah, and these are the guys we were just talking about. They went 6-1 through the DTE field elimination rounds, the playoffs there. So they only took 1 loss. That was in the finals. The DTE field as well here, most would probably say was sort of the most difficult division to get out of. So they came through a semi-stacked division to make it here.
And now for the Blue Alliance, the Robo Jackets from Auburn Hills, Strike Zone from Lapeer, and the Megatron Oracles from nearby Flint.
Yeah, I believe the Robo Jackets have won 3 district events this year. It's just an amazing robot that came out of the gate week 1, taking the Southfield event. And this is a team that last year sort of started breaking through. They were one of the elite teams last year, and they're building on that success this year. Also, 5460 Strike Zone. This robot has not won an event yet, but man, they can score fast. They might be one of the top, at least top 10, if not top 5, pure scoring robots in the field here. So having them partnered with Avondale, this is an extremely strong alliance, and 314, a veteran team that's going to be able to provide some of that defense that they're going to need on the other side of the field.
And also, Dan, at this point, this is, Championship Saturday, basically. All of these teams know about every other team and alliance and robots, so there really aren't a lot of secrets left for anyone to be hiding.
Yeah, and just looking at the divisional tournaments, right, they were tough enough that I think most of these alliances had to bring their A game, had to use all of their secret strategies up. So we'll see if anybody has anything else, hidden, but even though they were playing on different fields, you can be sure they sent scouts over to watch these other alliances and see what they could do.
And we've noticed throughout the weekends building up to today that, the defense gets a little bit better from weekend to weekend as these robots and drivers get more comfortable with each other, and the alliances get more comfortable competing with each other and against each other.
Yeah, for sure. Destination Deep Space, which is the name of our game, these matches are decided primarily by 2 matchups. It's going to be the defensive robot on one side against the scorer that they're trying to defend, and the same thing on the other side. Whichever group gets the better of those 2 matchups, those 2 individual matchups, usually is going to win.
So it's like any athletic event. You try to take away the other team's greatest strength.
Yep.
And you try to make sure that what you do well is not going to be impacted by anything that they can do.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see some schemes too, where if you've got a great scorer like Strike. Wow, we got Strike Zone and Strike Force. I'm going to mess this up all day. But Strike Force on the field now against Strike Zone. But Strike Force over here that we're looking at, a great scorer. We've seen them be very good in one-on-ones, but sometimes you might see another robot come over and set a pick for them to get them free, because you want that robot out there scoring as much as possible.
So they're introducing all the different teams and schools that have, really worked so many hours, the quiet hours, working with, there's not much glamour when you're, tweaking a robot, working and testing all this equipment, but when you get a chance to be on a stage like this, that's when, kids really get their payoff.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's just tons of hours, especially the robots out here. One of the big things we like to talk about when we're sort of teaching engineering to the students is nothing was made good the first time it was designed and built. So we have this, what we call the iterative design process, which more or less means build something, test it, find out why it's bad, fix those things, test it again, and you repeat over and over again. So this has been 6 weeks of build, 6 weeks of competition that these teams have been iterating on these robots.
And, we've also highlighted the corporate sponsors that are so integral to what happens successful here at Saginaw Valley State, but the mentors as well. We haven't really talked about them yet. Every team has, one or more mentors that are kind of helping guide these kids through the process of learning how it goes. And we start with our sandstorm period. 15 seconds of autonomous driving. You can see those black curtains that are blocking the field of vision, but the robots pretty much know what to do.
We saw 2 drops by 548. That's going to set them behind a little bit, but Strike Zone on the other side in blue going for the rocket first instead of the cargo ship.
So the idea is get those hatch panels up and then load up those cargo balls. Looks like more offense than defense right now. I've got a robot that's not moving over there on that far side. Can't quite see it from our vantage point, but
I think that is tactical. So they've decided to sacrifice the near side of the rocket. If nobody can put panels on that side of the rocket, you can't put the cargo balls in. And I think
gotcha.
they've decided that some of these red robots are too hard to defend directly. They're just going to take part of the field away from them.
That's Megatron Oracles from Flint. Now they're on the move, playing some moving active defense.
Saw that they waited for that robot to enter that area and then trapped them there for a bit. So 548 doing a nice job of getting out of the trap.
Red Alliance with a modest lead here. Still plenty of time. We'll see what the Blue Alliance can do to make up some of the difference as they load up a cargo ball. That's the Robo Jackets working on their rocket on the south side of the playing field.
5460 does not look to be running the way that we're used to them running in blue. So they scored some hatch panels. They got trapped by 7769, but the way this robot is driving, I think something is broken on there.
That Strike Zone from Lapeer. We can see, though, Robo Jackets is running free and easy and very effectively.
And it's going to be up to the Robo Jackets to carry this match. I mean, Strike Zone has not scored a game piece in, at least 30 seconds.
No defense at all on Robo Jackets, so they're just gobbling up the cargo balls and loading them in that rocket. They drop one on a mishandle. Let's see what the Red Alliance has got going. Boy, look at the cargo, the hatch panel getting loaded up on that highest level. So they're going to try and stuff that rocket with as many balls as they can, and they're on their way to having it filled to capacity.
Yep, we're going into the end game now, and it's, red's going up, blue's going up, but Strike Zone not able to drive across the field. They're going to be short a robot in this end game.
So they're trying their climb. Red Alliance looks like they're in good shape, but Blue Alliance is going to have one rocket completely far away from those, from that panel.
Yep. So even down a robot, Blue did manage to get a level 3 and a level 2, which will be equal points to Red Alliance's level 3 and 2 level 1s. So they're even there, but this robot not coming back, that's probably 6 points. Strike Zone is able to get up on that second level for 6 points. Those are left on the board. And, looking at the field, it's a close scoring match before that. So those 6 points could have decided it.
Only a 1 point differential. If this score stands, it's a Red Alliance win. They will win. We don't know, though, by how many points yet once they break everything down. And our vantage point up high is not letting us see the tally, but we'll have it for you in just a moment. But we do know it is a Red Alliance win.
That's correct, yeah. So from my vantage point, I see the score as being a speaker to 72.
It's a big speaker, folks. Trust us. We'll get the score in just a moment, but Red Alliance wins. And here's the score, the bonus points and whatnot tally to 91-72. Look at the cargo numbers. There's the swing for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, we need to watch as this playoffs progress, right? Teams are going to put those hatch panels up. Hatch panels are worth 2 points. That's good, but if you have a hatch panel without a cargo behind it, you're missing out. Cargo's worth 3 points. It's actually a little bit easier for teams to score. So an ideal match for a team when you finish is there should be at most one hatch panel without a cargo behind it.
So a Red Alliance win. And let's pick up our highlight package right now. Dan, what did we see?
So here at the beginning, Strike Force here, doing a good job of grabbing these panels. And I love this arm that rotates 180 degrees over the top. Means their robot doesn't have to turn around. And here, 5460, while they're still working, they've got an arm that can do the same. And they're here missing that shot. Normally a little bit more reliable than that. Again, Strike Zone, doing a good job of dropping that one in. And here we see some of that defense. They got into that corner, and they made use of the second ball that was in there. It did take them a little bit of time to get out, thanks to the good defense. That floor pickup again by Strike Force, very easy. Wide, it's easy for the driver to align. And they're playing really, really well in this match. Meanwhile, 35-38, the Robo Jackets also playing a pretty good match. until I think they dropped the ball after the one that they just scored, which obviously they couldn't afford to do. Here's one of those 4-bar lifting feet for 77-69, and a huge advantage for this alliance is it is their third robot that's going up to the third level, giving their other 2 robots more time to score.
Let's go down in the pits and talk to the winners. Here's Chris.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're joined by May from Team 548. You picked up a big win to start off the semifinal. 91-72 was the final score, and you had a big advantage in the cargo category. Was that your focus going into this match?
Yes, because cargo points are the most preliminary strategy for our team, because it's actually 3 points rather than 2 points, which the hatches are. Obviously, our robot, we do way better at hatches than anything else, and that's why we did so well in the qualification matches. But we've been doing cargo a lot more, which has been really beneficial, especially against defense and things like that.
So cargo is your robot specialty, and then how does that work with the other members of your alliance? What are they good at?
Primarily, our whole robot alliance is pretty good at everything, but we're pretty good at cargo, I believe, just because cargo is the easiest thing to put anywhere on the field. So, yeah.
It's really fun when you're good at everything, don't you think?
Yeah, we're not that good. I don't mean to flex, but.
Well, what's one thing that you think you can improve upon?
I really think that strategy against the robots that are playing defense against us is going to be really, really important, especially in these next couple of matches. So we actually did one strategy this time where us and Strike Force, our alliance partners, switched sides of the field in order to confuse the defense on us. So that's my job as drive coach, to try and make that strategy before the match. So.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Guys, that's May, and it's her birthday month in April. Back to you.
Happy birthday, and we roll right into our next match with the Killer Bees, Robo Sharks, and Cowtown Robotics for the Red Alliance, Lightning Robotics, Goon Squad, and Gems for the Blue Alliance. Sandstorm's over, and we'll see what kind of offense we get going forward here. Lots of good points already for both teams.
862, Lightning Robotics in blue, sticking with that end of the cargo ship, getting the hatch panel placed. So they actually trap both of those balls in there. It's going to be 10 points. It's why we see blue out to a little bit of an early lead.
Killer Bees working on a hatch panel on their rocket, and the 4956 Robo Sharks robot working in the center of the field with a cargo ball in the cargo ship.
A little bit of a slow place there for the Killer Bees. We're used to seeing a little bit more speed out of that robot. And they're going to need to speed up here if they want to keep up with our Blue Alliance.
Yeah, right now scoreboard's very even. A lot of zip, a lot of movement for the Blue Alliance as we watch the Goon Squad drop that cargo ball in the center.
Yeah, last match we saw 2 offense, 1 defense strategy. This match we're seeing all 3 on offense for both sides.
Yeah, that's going to be some big numbers when all is said and done. So interesting strategy. Looks like Blue Alliance has good positioning with their hatch panels. They're stocked up on, looks like, both rockets on both sides of the field. And boy, the scores are just really, really high for a late period in the match.
Yep, the Blue Alliance still has that second level on the rocket done. Also, our near side rocket is completely covered. I believe all 6 hatch panels are on that. Red is behind in hatch panels. This is what I'm talking about. We need to see more out of that Killer Bees and Cowtown robot. They've got to get those hatch panels up.
And it puts more pressure on them for the climb as well.
Yep, they're going to have to play late.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Now some defense by the Red Alliance. The Robo Sharks robot trying to disrupt not 1 but 2 Blue Alliance robots, including the Gems. And now we're on to the climb, and off we go with Lightning Robotics taking the first level effectively. Red Alliance, though, they're ready to pounce. All 3 of their robots in position. They're going to need a big push to catch. Let's see what the Blue Alliance does. Not as successful in the climb as the Red Alliance, though.
That's true. They're giving up 6 points in the climb. We did see a pretty big spike of blue points towards the end of the match. They were capitalizing on a lot of those hatch panels they put up. Again, we have 3 hatch panels on blue that do not have a cargo ball behind them, so they could have maximized their score if they went to cargo slightly sooner, but still played pretty well there. I'm not sure if all the climbs were accounted for when we saw that score, that preliminary score, so we'll see.
The unofficial score is a 6-point lead for the Red Alliance, and both teams in the high 80s and low 90s. So there's some serious offense going on.
And we have to keep in mind, right, the scoring is done manually by humans at some touchscreen computers. They'll be tapping on the screen to indicate when things are scored. So especially at the end of the match, the scoreboard will stop updating when the match ends, and a lot of times that's when the climb points are going to get entered. So we will often not have those on our preliminary final score. Also, penalties could have been called that they're going to either add or subtract in this period while we wait for the official.
We haven't seen many matches where defense is totally off the table like it was in that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a good strategy, I thought. The Robo Sharks, right, 49-56 on our Red Alliance, our Consumers Energy Division champions. They filled up their set slots in the cargo ship, and once those slots were filled, you really only have the 2 rockets to score on. 3 robots trying to score at 2 locations is usually some congestion, so they took that opportunity to cross the field. They played, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds of defense right before they had to get back to the ramp. If they can score a little bit faster, they'll have more time for defense.
Here's our highlight package, starting with our first look at the Red Alliance.
And this is good, 49-56, getting a hatch panel on again. Cargo balls start in the end of the cargo ship, so if you can put hatch panels on, you're going to get bonus points for that. Here's 33. That was a fast panel score, and that's what we need to see more of from them.
You see that Killer Bees robot just get that hatch panel and then flip it over?
Exactly. Yeah.
Slick.
And that's the speed we want to see out of this robot. Again, they were having some trouble with that hatch panel on the bottom of the rocket on the far side, but a great job with the cargo there, putting those balls in quickly. The Blue Alliance working really more as a team. You can see they're both scoring on the same rocket. That takes coordination. You have to plan ahead for who's going to be there and scoring and who's going to be, getting a new game piece. So they did a good job of that. Meanwhile, on the other side, just filling up that whole blue rocket. They did all of the panels first, though, but weren't able to quite get all the cargo in, and they might have needed the last couple scores.
And then here's the climb. The Red Alliance did very well on it. You can see a little bit of precision, patience there by the Killer Bees. And then in the front part of your screen, Cowtown Robotics, their successful climb. Again, only a 6-point advantage for the Red Alliance before they tally everything up. Let's get down with Chris Fosters and pick it up with an interview in the pits.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're joined by Bridget right now of Team 50-50. Still waiting on the official score, but preliminarily it looks like your Red Alliance pulled out a 6-point win. I have to ask, you're on the same alliance as the Killer Bees, Team 33, but you're Team 50-50, so why do you still have the bee antennae in your getup right now?
Okay, so we really want to support our alliance because it's a huge part of FIRST, and also it's just really fun to be able to support everyone else, and it just helps increase morale and everything.
Now, you're the drive coach, so what was your main role in that last match?
My main role in that last match was keeping everyone calm, doing strategy mid-match, and also making sure that the problems that were going on were being fixed or evaluated.
Well, how calm are you right now waiting for the final results to come in? Tell me honestly.
Not very, especially because of the problems that we had the last match. So.
Well, you're certainly doing a good job concealing it. Now, what were some of the problems that cropped up in that match?
So this last match, our entire alliance was having problems with lag. I don't know if it was a field fault or what was going on, but they're reevaluating it right now, and they have FIRST headquarters on it.
So it could be a situation where the Blue Alliance would be awarded some penalty points. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wouldn't be a situation where that was going on. It's a field fault where either connection problems were going on or just Roborios weren't working or radios weren't working. And I think the Blue Alliance was also having some issues, but I'm not sure.
Well, needless to say, that's not a fault like that. It's not something that you plan on having happen, but is it something that's happened to your robot before?
No, we've never had anything like this happen before.
What do you think the adjustment needs to be then going forward?
Just make sure that we keep running clean, even if there are problems that are going on.
And no doubt you want the win in the first match of a best of 3. In the event that something happens and it appears that the Blue Alliance actually goes on to win, how do you think that changes your approach and your strategy going into the second match?
Our strategy doesn't usually change a whole ton. We will adjust to whatever we feel is going to change based on their strategy. So if we feel like they're going to put defense on us, we'll account for that or anything along those lines.
Well, listen, a lot going on right now. Certainly some tension in the building right now as you wait for the final score. So we appreciate some time, Bridget. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, there's nothing like a little bit of drama as we wait on that final score.
Yeah, right, Chris. And we always love the cross-pollination of the costumes, combining the Cowtown Robotics costume with Killer Bees. And there is a little bit of a buzz going on down there. Speaking of Killer Bees, that we may have the entire match redone.
Right. So what we can see on the field right now is it is not the refs gathered together discussing things. It is the gentlemen in blue shirts, and those are our FTAs, our technical advisors, and they are going to basically be in communication. It's a computer chat program, but they're talking to first headquarters about some of the things that they're seeing in this match. And essentially what she was talking about in that interview was field fault. And we use the words field fault to mean that something in the arena did not function the way that it was designed to function. So teams are coming out here to play. It would be like if you broke the backboard in basketball, you can't keep playing. You got to fix it. The field has to exist the way you need it to exist. And the issue appears to be that there were large amounts of latency or lag spikes in the communication between the controls and the robots. What that means is that they would try to drive forward and the movement would be delayed. It would drive forward after you were expecting it to. It's very hard to control a robot under those circumstances. What they're going to do is check if it affected all the robots. It affected all the robots. Then they're going to decide if it was impactful enough to affect the outcome. If it was, then they'll replay the match.
We'll let them make a decision. We'll come back, though, and the discussion will continue here at Saginaw Valley State. More from the First in Michigan State Championships in a moment.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Welcome back to the Riders Center. They've got Journey playing in here. That's what's going on in my head right now as we await for the replay of the last semifinal match that we just saw. As Dan speculated before going to break, this is something that I talked about with Gail Alpert, the president of First Robotics, and it does appear that there was basically what amounted to a bandwidth issue in that last semifinal match. And so, frankly, the robots are so good at what they do that they were sucking all of the internet connectivity out of the place, and that's why you saw maybe the laggy or slow-moving robots actually in the last couple of matches. So, guys, I guess breaking news, Dan Kimura was right, and that's why they're going to have to replay this semifinal. My question for you, Dan, is if it was a bandwidth issue in the previous match, how do they fix that going forward so that it doesn't happen again?
Well, there are a couple of possible things that we could be seeing here. The bandwidth issue could be caused by teams and their camera streaming, in which case essentially restarting the radios on the robots should allow them to connect a little bit better and deal with the congestion on the network. Now, the other thing that can be happening is if there are lots of other Wi-Fi hotspots up in the area, they can be using up some of the available airwaves that the robots need. So if that's the case, they're going to send some people around to make sure that all the audience has those hotspots turned off, like on your phones and stuff like that. But that makes a lot of sense too, especially we talked at the beginning of that match about 33 moving slower than I'm used to seeing them move. Well, this bandwidth issue, this latency issue would be the perfect explanation for that.
So is this just like an eyeball test thing, Dan, or is there some hard data that they are seeing at the scores table that validates the bandwidth issue?
There are hard numbers, so we can actually see a trip time, which is basically how long it takes for data to go from the driver station to the robot back to the driver. And when that number gets high, it gets very, very hard to drive the robots. We normally have that number down at about 5 milliseconds.
So we'll do a reset.
Yeah, and that's
pretty straightforward.
That's
yeah.
why they didn't post the score. I think they didn't want to post a score and then have to say, just kidding,
Yeah.
this match didn't happen. So this is match 1 again.
Right. And then, I guess, we always know that alliances try to take advantage of, seeing the opposition, what they do. We had a 93-87 score, so it's not like there was some wide gap between what these alliances did and maybe what they wanted to do. So would you expect any wholesale changes or just same old, same old?
I think you got to come out, with your original game plan here. A lot of the times, too, your drivers and your drive team are going to be spending that whole match just fighting with the robot because it wasn't working right and they didn't know what was wrong. And so I don't think they were actually going to be focusing too much on what the other alliance did, and the other alliance was affected as well. So if you adjust your strategy based on what you were seeing in that match, it might not be a good idea. So
Thumbs up.
Yep. I think we'll see the same thing, but better driving from all of the robots.
Faster.
Faster, for sure.
Because of more bandwidth. So here we go. It is sandblast time. 15 seconds. And you can chime in if you see these robots moving faster.
They look good. We saw a very good score by 49.56, followed up by 50.50 on red. They capped both of the end cargo ship panels. 8.62 struggling a little bit on their side. But you can see 33 already with a panel. Scored it. Already out with their second panel. And here's where, that score that we're watching right now, last match, probably took them 10 seconds. Couple misses there, but fast misses, and they're back in it.
Both teams scored 85-plus points in the match that we just saw that was not allowed. You can imagine what these robots do at faster speeds.
And we got to make sure the drivers aren't rattled. We saw 33 just miss a shot. Maybe it's going to take them a second to reacclimate here.
And slow down a little bit. We watch the hatch panels going up for the Blue Alliance. That's the GEMS robot placing the hatch panels. Again, we're not seeing much defense at all here, and it's pretty much all offense for both robots on both alliances. Now, the RoboSharks Red Alliance robot is starting to get into the defensive mindset, and they've taken a couple of hits at Lightning Robotics and GEMS.
Yeah, and the GEMS still sticking with they're going to put 6 panels up on that robot before any cargo. We want to see them. I see. So the strategy is they are the hatch panel robot for this alliance. It looks like, their partner is now coming over. That's 3604 Goon Squad is good at the cargo. So by utilizing the GEMS ability to put up hatch panels and the Goon Squad's ability to put in cargo, they're trying to sort of share the duties there.
Good 1v1 battle right now between the RoboSharks Red Alliance robot, making life very difficult. The cargo ball does go in for the Blue Alliance, but it was a little bit more time consuming than expected. I think that's the Goon Squad robot trying to load another cargo ball, and man, they just cannot shake free from RoboSharks.
Got that shot off though just before getting hit, and I think Blue is, well actually it's very close.
Lightning Robotics doing the center level climb for the Blue Alliance. That looks to be successful. Red Alliance in position. All 3 robots successfully climb. Blue Alliance might be a little bit late. Can they squeeze one more robot in? They got 1, but not 2.
And I don't know if 3604 was able to lift their back stilts up. So, but it's really hard to see from up here. I think they're still down. So I think they're going to get credit for a level 1 climb, not a level 2. GEMS, though, scoring a hatch panel late and coming back to level 1. So that's kind of like a 5-point end game. Pretty close to 6 if they were on the second level.
So here's our scoreboard that we're reading off of the big Jumbotron here. Red Alliance 113, Blue Alliance 107. Faster robots, more points, but still the same outcome if that score stands.
Yeah, it's definitely we saw all of the robots moving faster, more under control, kind of what we expected in the first match, and we saw 2 rocket ships getting fairly full. A little bit better execution from either side, and we might end up with a couple full rocket ships here.
Yeah, a lot of, and looks like it is a Blue Alliance win. So they were only down 6 points. Looks like they're going to finish at 113. We can't confirm what the Red Alliance score is, thanks to the jumbo-sized speaker.
So it was actually a tie. It was 113 to 113.
Oh, a tie, okay.
But we don't have ties in the playoffs, which means there is a tiebreaker. That tiebreaker, I think it might be cargo points.
Blue is going to win. We're confirming that it's a tie score. There it is. It is a tie.
I say.
And here we can look on our monitor here and confirm.
So the first tiebreaker is penalties. The second tiebreaker, I think, is hab climb. But because the Red Alliance committed 2 penalties for 6 points, they not only gave away the lead they would have had, but lost the tiebreaker.
Well, we got drama, we got offense, and we also have Chris Foster's in the pits right now.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Boy, this has been a very fascinating start to this semifinal. We had to replay a match, and now there was just a tie flashed up on the scoreboard. We're with Lorena right now from Team 33, the Killer Bees, one of the oldest teams in the field. And after looking like you had won the first match, you had to replay it. They just flashed up the score. It's a tie, and you came out on the losing side because of penalties. What penalties did you see your team commit there?
Yeah, so our team committed a penalty where we grabbed 2 game elements at the same time, but you're only allowed to grab 1, so that's only what happened.
What has this last couple of minutes been like for you? Because it looked like you won, you had to replay it, so emotionally, how difficult has this been?
I mean, it's been really hard, but I know that our team's going to get through anything, and it's just been really amazing, being on FIM's side and just being able to compete with the rest of these teams.
You've got a fantastic robot, and I have to say I'm amazed at how composed you are right now after facing some adversity right now. What do you think the rest of your team is feeling as you get ready for basically a do-or-die match?
It's devastating, but I think it's fun to be in these matches. It's fun to see the game the way it's supposed to be competed. We had a match where we physically could not score any other places, and we're climbing to the best of our abilities. It's really great to see the match and the game being played the way it's supposed to be.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Good luck.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. Yes, the margin for error is shrinking every weekend, and now that you're here on the the last Saturday of the Michigan competition, well, you can't afford to have even one mistake can be costly. Here's our Red Alliance as we reset. The Red Alliance won their first semifinal match against the Blue Alliance, Strike Force, Robostangs, and OS Crew.
Yeah, again, we saw 7769 Oakland Schools, OS Crew doing a good job of crossing the field, playing some good solid defense, and yet we haven't yet seen somebody able to sort of slow down Strike Force for that Red Alliance.
Blue Alliance looks like this: Megatron Oracle, Strike Zone, and Robo Jackets.
And of course, the tail of that first match, 35-38, the Robo Jackets doing a great job of scoring, but 54-60, something broke on that robot in the first match. They weren't able to get back to the hab. They weren't able to keep climbing for almost half the match, or keep scoring for half the match. And that, ultimately is too much to overcome when you're playing against a very strong alliance from DTE.
So this is a must-have for the Blue Alliance. It's best 2 of 3. Red Alliance won the first one. Boy, that last match, Dan, 2 alliances, each with over 110 points.
Yeah, can you imagine scoring 113 and losing? That's a high enough score to win most events in the country, yep.
Oh.
And that's just how deep the field is here, right, and how strong the robots are.
Here's a question. Why didn't we have those bandwidth issues in the first semifinal match when these two teams met?
It can be very specific. The timing of it can be very specific. Again, if some extra hotspots are turning on, you can get hit with that just when they turn on. The field also can move around its channel, sort of the wireless channel that it's using to try to find the least congested, bandwidth or spectrum. So that's what the field crew is doing. That's what First Headquarters is in here taking a look at, just trying to find the cleanest airwaves sort of to do this. And I will mention, too, since we have a break, in that last interview, I think they called it Fimstein. So just to explain that to everybody, it's called Einstein, the final field at the World Championship. And since this is first in Michigan, Fimstein.
Nice catch. We roll into our sandstorm period. Both teams looking good. Now the curtains will get lifted, and we'll see what kind of effort we get here. Blue Alliance rolling into a defensive position. That's Megatron Oracles. So there is a little bit more defense going on in this match.
Yep, for sure. Strike zone in blue, 54-60. Whatever was wrong does not appear to still be wrong. They did a great job of busting through the defense there to put that hatch panel up.
Strike force for the Red Alliance, loading up a cargo ball in there, one of their two rockets.
And I like this from them. What they're doing is putting in 2 panels, 2 cargo. That way you never put too many panels up.
Another hatch panel for the Red Alliance. Close scoring here. It's the OS crew that's flexing their defensive muscles in the Blue Alliance half of the field. Not so well right now, though. Looks like that 54-60 strike zone
and
robot's
that's
in good
a penalty,
shape.
too.
Why?
So the 77-69, that area in the corner where you load from is a protected area, and they made contact inside that area while strike zone was in there reloading. And, of course, on the near side with no defense, I mean, just look at the Robo Jackets go.
Look at that. All that 54-60 strike zone robot had 2 cargo balls. Obviously could only handle 1. The Robo Jackets from the Blue Alliance, they continue to focus on pounding cargo balls in that cargo ship in the middle. Boy, this score is very close here. Still lots of time to get more points.
Yeah, it's still a few areas left to put cargo for the Blue Alliance, so they're 1 point behind on the scoreboard, but they have slightly more potential in their score right now.
Red Alliance with the Robo-Stangs robot trying to load up a hatch panel.
And you'll see, pulling the defense here, the last 30 seconds, you can get caught for some illegal defense in the climbing zone, so teams will often leave.
Robo Jackets making the climb successfully. Still 2 Blue Alliance robots out there. They're going for points, and the Red Alliance OS crew robot has tipped over.
And I think so Strike Force also late to get back. They weren't able to get back to the platform. They were trying to score. They knew they were behind on the field before endgame and had to get some more points done. And we did see the referee review, the match under review button coming up. That means that there was either a call that got entered wrong or a call that they want to discuss before the score goes final. So we're going to see collection of referees discussing the penalty and deciding whether or not it is on the scoreboard correctly. But this is going to hurt. If there is no help from the referees, that fallen robot not getting the level 3 climb points, that you cannot overcome that in a match this close.
So the OS crew robot will get some extra attention. Kind of a dramatic fall on the climb. We see the officials talking there, and you like to name drop, so who can we introduce here?
Oh, yeah, Preston on the left, or on the right with the hair. That is Alan, and then behind him is Marty, and I don't know who's behind Preston right now. That's Greg.
Okay. I like to challenge you and keep you on your toes.
I've got a plan, too. When you give me one I don't know, I've already got a list of made-up names ready to go.
Yes, well played. Well played, Mr. Kimura. So we will see how the penalty points shake out. If it stands as it is now, it's a Blue Alliance win. It would be 83-75. Yep. And given that there were no points in the climb for the Red Alliance. Whatever happens, it'll probably be a Blue Alliance win.
Yeah, for sure, unless the referees bail them out.
So here's the replay. And a nice overview of the entire playing field. Now we're kind of on that ground level look.
Yep, good job by 548 there scoring. Good look at them coming back to get another hatch panel. And this is that defense by OS Crew, just trying to lock down that zone. 54-60, being smart though, saying, hey, look, I'm not getting through them right now. I'm going to score where there is an opening to score.
Yeah, they stick another hatch panel. That's the Robo-Stang's robot.
Doing the same. We saw, again, more mobility from 314 as well this match. You know, they sort of were sitting back on defense before. Now they're out there trying to do a little bit more. And that is the penalty right there. If you are in that zone, as Strike Zone was, that you cannot be contacted by another robot. 77-69 also in that zone, and contacting them, that will be a penalty. And this is where Blue really started to make that comeback. They had all those hatch panels in place, and they chose the right time to switch over to scoring cargo to take full advantage of it.
And here's the climb. This is where things go south.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so
self-inflicted.
So they were up. That driver went the wrong direction on the drivetrain and pulled them off. So that's unusual. That might have been an accidentally hit joystick. That might have been
human error.
Yeah, human error.
As opposed to robotic error. Well, there's the final tally. The hab climb, a big lead for Blue Alliance and a big lead in cargo and also in hatch panels. So there it is, a one-sided Blue Alliance win. Let's get more information on that as we pick it up with Chris Fosters.
Dan, thank you very much. A one-sided final score, as you say, but it didn't look that way when the match originally went under review. We're with Kimber right now from the winning Blue Alliance, and were you surprised that the final score ended up being as lopsided as it was?
Yeah, but we've just been trying our hardest these last few matches. This whole competition, we've been trying as hard as we can, just practicing for Worlds.
Was it any more stressful going into this match, knowing that you had to win to keep the semifinal alive?
Kind of, but we've just been trying. We've just been focusing on competition, not worrying about winning or losing. This is all just practice for Worlds for us.
Well, when they put the final score up on the board, you told me that you were surprised at how well you guys had done in the cargo category. Why did you say that?
Because we've been experiencing we experienced a little lag in our first match, but yeah, we've just been a little inconsistent.
Well, when the cargo numbers aren't there for you the way they were in this match, what is your alliance good at, and what do you rely on to win matches?
Just driver skill. We don't have any autonomous alignment or anything like that, so it's all just driver skill.
Kind of get it done the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Kimber, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. You're on to a winner-take-all semifinal match.
Yeah, it feels great.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. And yeah, the crowd's still revved up and enjoying the atmosphere here. We're going to step aside and come back with our fourth semifinal match. We'll continue with more from the Riders Center in just a moment.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Yeah, a lot of high stepping going on here at the Riders Center, and we have, always enjoyed the atmosphere. That's one thing, and myself and Chris Fosters, who are kind of getting more accustomed to you know, what First Robotics is all about, but the atmosphere in every gym you go into is always the same. That's the one thing that people kind of get taken aback by, is the energy that is always there, regardless of whether we're between matches, starting a match, ending a match. It just never goes away.
Yeah, I mean, you think it's a engineering fair, right, kind of thing going on where, oh, it's going to be quiet kids running their robots, but it's definitely a sport, right? We're out here competing. You've got your fans. They're going to cheer. They've got teams have got their own cheers that they're going to, you know, bring out from time to time. And anytime we have a field timeout like we're going through right now, you're going to get the dance songs.
And it's been a while since Chris has had a chance to do the Macarena. You know, so, I mean, it's, you know, if there's ever a chance, you know, Chris, don't hold back at all, bud. I mean, we don't want to, you know, make you get out of your comfort zone at all.
No, I hear you guys loud and clear. Every time I've either done the Cotton Eye Joe or the Macarena, oh, there we go. I don't know, the camera seems to break or something like that, or they just, you know, turn away from me or something like that. So, I don't know. I can't get enough FaceTime personally, guys. You're lucky that you're up in a chair over there, I tell you what, or you wouldn't be on the limelight like I am right now. But, no, to your point, this is all part of the deal, the fantastic atmosphere here. There's never a dull moment, even when there's not any action going on the pits. You know, the action, I guess, just carries over into the bleachers and into the stands. So I've seen, you know, a Marvin the Martian costume, an inflatable dinosaur. There was a kid walking around in like a crane appendage. So there's just some awesome stuff here, and you can't help but feed off the energy.
Yeah, if the dancing doesn't get your attention, then the costumes will suck you in too. We've noticed some unusual costumes as well. Here's our fourth semifinal. Here's the alliances that we have for you. Red Alliance, Cowtown Robotics, Killer Bees, and Robo Sharks for the Red Alliance. They need to win. They need to win,
yep. They lost the first match 113 to 113 on the tiebreaker, of course. So we're going to have to see them come out, and I don't think they have to change anything, right? A couple penalties, that was all that cost them the match.
Blue Alliance by the hair of their chinny chin with Lightning Robotics, Goon Squad, and Gems. So, hey, you know, if you're Red Alliance, you're like, you know what, 113, we can live with that. No wholesale changes here as we go into Sandstorm.
Yep, same thing for Blue, except 43-62, the Gems right now are not moving, and that is a long delay. They do manage to get off the platform in time, though, and that's critical because that would have been 9 points that you can't get back. They're going to start the match a little bit behind, though.
So they'll have some catching up to do. We'll see. It was all offense last time, and Robo Sharks is right in the thick of it with a cargo ball, and now another one they're going to try and place in that middle cargo ship. So far, it's been all offense.
Yep, no changes from either alliance in terms of general strategy. We do see the Gems a little bit rough on their first hatch panel. I think they knocked off one that wasn't quite there and replaced it with a better one, but that is sort of like scoring in the same place twice.
Mishandled cargo ball by Killer Bees. They drop one, they successfully load the next one. Now we've got a Red Alliance robot in the other half of the Blue Alliance field, so there's some defense going on right now.
Right, again, they're staying home just until that cargo ship is full. Once the cargo ship is full, their job is to get on defense.
Looks like the Gems robot is having the problems with that Red Alliance defensively. And that's the Robo Sharks robot for the Red Alliance. Still a Red Alliance lead, but only 10 points. Now it's only 5.
Yep, and we see the defense on the near side rocket, but on the far side rocket, 862 and 3604 doing a pretty good job of keeping pace here.
Fast robots means lots of offense, which means an abundance of points. Don't know if they'll top 113, but whatever it is, the Red Alliance has to get more than Blue Alliance to win.
We're on that pace right now. Killer Bees doing a good job soloing kind of the top side of the field. They finished the cargo ship. They're getting close to finishing this rocket, and they might have time to do it.
Robo Sharks trying to deny the Blue Alliance from getting in position to load that one rocket up. They've got all the hatch panels in place but one.
Yep, and that's a lot of points left for them if they can get to it.
Now the Blue Alliance is going to retreat, and the Red Alliance is going to go and do their climbs. those climbs look very successful. And they left some time on the table. Look at the Red Alliance again, 110
Blue
points.
Trying to score to the last second, see if they can still get up. And with about a second to spare, they do.
Well, right now, unofficially, they're 7 points down on the scoreboard. Red Alliance, 110 points.
And we did see a blue panel fall off of the near side rocket here just at the very end of the match. So they could be 2 points below where they are now as well. End game advantage for red too, so they're going to get 6 more points there. Again, unless referees are going to change the outcome with some penalties, it's going to be a red win.
And they are going to force the issue and force a third and deciding match in our second semifinal. So we're going to go the distance in both of these semifinal matches.
And I mean, that match played out almost the same way. Slightly better execution from red, slightly worse execution from blue. And that, turned the score around.
And there's your final score. No penalties, nothing added after the unofficial scoring. So the half climb for Red Alliance makes up for losing 3 points, but they did win in hatch panels too.
Yep, again, the Blue Alliance really can only get 18 points in half climb, so they scored a couple cargo late to try to offset that. That was a good move for them, but they were behind before they went and did that. I think a big thing in this match is that center cargo ship got finished sooner. That freed 4956 Whitehall up to go play defense earlier. That turned the 113 into a 103.
And right now, let's go back in the pits and rejoin Chris.
This semifinal hasn't disappointed for 1 second, guys. We're standing by with Caden right now from the victorious Red Alliance. You guys needed that one. You played originally in the first match. You had to replay it. When you played the replay, you tied and ended up losing. So this was a must-win for you when all is said and done. It probably feels like this has been longer than a typical semifinal already.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just been really crazy with the tying. And then the first match, our controls were so laggy. When we hit a button, it was like 8 seconds later when the command actually went through. And this win was just absolutely crucial for us.
Has your robot been moving a little bit slower after you had to basically reduce your bandwidth?
It's been running completely fine since then, so everything's been good.
Good, really glad to hear that. Why do you think these matches have been so close beyond the fact that every robot in the field at this point is just playing good?
Right. And that's a huge part of it is we have really skilled strategists now at this point in the game. Obviously, everyone here is at stage for a reason at this point. And it's because they have a good strategy. They don't even have to have the best bot, but a good strategy can outbeat a really good bot a lot of the times. And that's really what it is. It comes down to strategy and knowing your game and your opponent inside and out.
It's been a fun one to watch. Good luck in that winner-take-all match, Caden. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Will do, guys. Dan, you're having a good day, right?
Absolutely. Interesting comment, too, as he talks about the, you don't necessarily have to have the best robot if your strategy is sound. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, we've seen lots of instances over the years of smart play defeating really good robots. And that Red Alliance is doing a good job of just that, our consumers' energy field winners. They're not wasting hatch panels. And again, we've been talking about this. If you have a hatch panel up and no cargo behind it, it means you did all the work of scoring the 2-point hatch panel and not getting the payoff of the easier to score 3-point cargo ball. And they did a good job of doing that. They also have done a great job of flexing those RoboSharks robot that, the team that we heard from. They filled the cargo ship in the middle, kind of giving an offensive boost at the beginning of the match, and then transitioned seamlessly over to slowing down the other alliance by playing some defense.
And there's the climb that, was very helpful to them.
And this is a big advantage for this alliance that we're seeing. They are one of a few alliances that can go 1 robot on level 3 and 2 robots on level 2 at the same time.
So now we're into our tiebreaker, our 5th semifinal match. This one is going to put someone into the championship match. Strike Force, RoboStangs, and the OS crew for the Red Alliance, who won the first one. The first semifinal match, the Blue Alliance winning the second match. And here's how they stack up. Megatron Oracles, Robo Jackets, and Strike Zone.
And again, that first quarterfinal matchup was a win for the Red Alliance out of DTE, 91-72. The second match, flipping it way around, 101-65 for the Blue Alliance off of Dao. So the Red Alliance had a really, really bad match last match, and they need to rebound from that. I'm not sure how much of it is a strategy thing and how much of it is just they need to relax and go back to driving the way they're capable of.
And we go into Sandstorm. And again, 3 or 6 points depending which level you start on. Both teams come out of it with a healthy bump in points.
Yep, both Robostangs and Strikeforce doing a good job of putting those hatch panels on, capturing the free cargo balls at the end of the cargo ship.
Maybe not as much defense. Well, a little bit of defense. Blue Alliance has got their Megatron Oracle's robot blocking that far rocket. But it's not really doing a whole lot defensively with Robostangs loading up the hatch panels and loading up the cargo balls as well.
Yep,
now it's coming.
Yep. The strategy is clear for them. They're giving up some ground. They know, that it's very hard to defend all of that area. So they're saying you can have this half of the rocket ship, but the other half you're getting nothing. And it makes it really hard to score cargo balls if you don't have a panel on both sides.
Blue Alliance is working in their half of the field with a bit of a defensive challenge. They do load the cargo ball. It's on the far side, so I'm not really getting a good visual on which Red Alliance rocket that is.
Yeah, Blue Alliance going to get a spike of points here. They've decided to finally finish up their cargo ship. They have a lot of open spaces, and those are quick points to score.
Yeah, that's the Robo Jackets machine that's gobbling up cargo balls and planting them right in that center cargo ship.
Yeah, Robo Jackets have already scored 11 game pieces themselves, and they've still got 45 seconds to go.
Well, yeah, this is a lot of offense here. Hatch panel in place successfully for Red Alliance by Robostangs. There's only one area of defense. It's on that far side of the field. Both teams kind of pushing each other, but it's not giving either team a big advantage on the scoreboard either.
It looks like Strike Zone scored a cargo ball but knocked off a hatch panel, so only +1 point for that score. And now we see Strike Force on the other side of the field trying to play some defense late, looking to trap some people and not let them climb.
Robo Jackets going right to their climb.
And that was a great move. 77-69 was stuck on the climb. Strike Force coming in, nails them from behind, pushes them the rest of the way up, and ends on level 1.
Oh, you love that Dukes of Hazzard mentality, don't you?
Absolutely.
Bumper to bumper, helping your teammate. The robot feels the pain, but it helps on the scoreboard. Right now, it's a Red Alliance lead of 11 points.
It's going to be, I think, closer than that. Blue on the field, we can see they've got 2 on level 2 and 1 on level 3. So they're going to actually make up 6 points here because both 548 and Strike Force are on level 1. Just 3 points apiece there.
And it's a Blue Alliance win.
Yep, enough in the end game to come back. We also saw a lot of late scores by the Blue Alliance in terms of cargo that might just not have been added to the scoreboard in time for us to see on the real-time score.
So the Blue Alliance winning the final 2 matches. And they are moving into the finals.
And their score went up every time. 72 in the first match, 101 in the second. They put up 104 points here in this match.
So they did it the hard way, lost the first one, and then came back and won the last 2. There's your final numbers. Yeah, once everything was tallied, everything swings in favor of the Blue Alliance. They win the half climb, they win the cargo. 2-point deficit in hatch panels, but then they pick up 3 penalty points.
Yeah, and so what we're seeing here is it looked like they were behind almost all match, but that's because they were laying the foundation. They were putting the hatch panels up, and then they capitalized late with a bunch of cargo being scored, giving them the 6-point edge there. And they know the Red Alliance here could only go level 1 with their other 2 robots, and they knew they could go level 2 and pick up 6 more points there in the end game.
Here's our highlight package, starting with a little bit of a mishandle on the hatch panel, pick up by the Red Alliance.
Yeah, recovered well. That hurts, but it's not too bad. And they scored it. Wow, that counts. that counts. It's hanging off there, but as long as it's supported by the rocket, you're going to get the 2 points for that. Now, putting a ball behind it is hard. We can see them switching over here to the cargo ship. Because of that, they don't have really a great spot to put those cargo balls on the other side. 77-69 doing a good job of trying to defend 54-60, but Strike Zone doing a good job of finding what's open. And of course, Strike Force here in red doing a good job of scoring. That arm that can kind of swing both ways, they used it to its fullest. But 314 doing a little bit of a trap there once they got through. Trying to slow them down for them, before they could go back and reload. And here's the end where it's open now. The defense is left because of endgame. Strike Zone doing a good job of scoring some balls. Strike Force in red coming across, trying to do some defense. And, well, thank God that matchup is over because now I don't have to keep Strike Zone and Strike Force separate.
I knew that was vexing you all afternoon.
Great climb here, and again, this is what we're seeing. 1 level 3, 2 level 2s. That's going to get you essentially the maximum number of points that we're seeing here at this event.
Let's head downstairs and reconnect with Chris Fosters.
Thank you, Dan. All right, one from either side with me now, starting with Alexandra from the Red Alliance. Now, preliminarily, when the score flashed up, it looked like you had won and were moving on to the finals. What do you think happened that reversed the score upon review?
I think it was just like they didn't add up all the cargo, and they ended up finding some more on the other side, and so they ended up getting more cargo than we did.
You've had a fantastic run. How surprised were you, though, at that change?
I was very surprised. I really thought we had it because, we were doing so well with cargo, and, our robot was finally, working with armed and, getting cargo and doing great defense, so I was like, okay, then.
Well, still a fantastic job at the state tournament. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, now to Ian from the Winning Alliance. And again, things originally looked like they weren't going your way, and then they did. Was it the Hab climb that made you think that you guys had a shot late in that match?
Most definitely. The Hab climb is, a sudden burst of points at the end that often can't be counted in fast enough during the match. And also, we were kind of behind on cargo, but that Hab climb definitely saved us.
How nervous were you when they flashed the preliminary score and you were on the wrong side?
Very, very nervous. We thought we had it, and, but things didn't exactly look like we were moving on.
Well, that's why you always wait until the final score is put up there. So congratulations, you're moving on to the finals. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Guys, we're hurtling through deep space right now.
Thank you. Yes, very scary moments. The anxiety, the anxiousness, waiting for that final tally. Not easy. Most of the other sports, the scoring all comes in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you would hope that the coach should have a fairly good idea of that score because they can see almost all of the points on the scoreboard or on the field, even when that before that final score comes up.
So there's our Red Alliance setting up here for this final semifinal match. We know that one alliance has already made it in, and we're going to find out who they'll compete against. Blue Alliance, this group, the Gems, Goon Squad, and Lightning Robotics against Killer Bees, Robo Sharks, and Cowtown Robotics.
That first match, again, 113 to 113 tie. Tiebreaker giving it to the Blue Alliance. Second match, we saw a little bit more defense out of 49-56, and they came back to take that one 110 to 103.
Hard to think you're going to score 100-plus points and not advance to the finals, but that's the way it's probably going to shake down here.
And let's watch. Let's see if they get on defense a little bit earlier again, as that worked out for them last time.
And those robots are buzzing. Blue Alliance with Goon Squad.
So starting out 3 on offense, both sides. 49-56 is filling up their half of the cargo ship. Again, they just dropped their second one in.
Then the hatch panels have to go up on the rockets, and then you can start loading the cargo balls. So it's hatch panels first. Blue Alliance right in front of us, working effectively. And again, it's all offense. There is no defense yet. Now, here it comes.
Yep, third cargo ball in the cargo ship, and Robo Sharks cross the field to play defense. But a smart move by 3604. What they did, they were playing this near side rocket before the defense got there. As soon as the defense showed up, they switched sides.
Yeah. And threw up another hatch panel to get some points. Looks like the hatch panel doesn't stick for the Blue Alliance. Again, it's just Velcro holding it on, so
The smart driving again from Blue. They're keeping 3 on offense. That means there are 4 robots on this side of the field, and they're doing a good job of staying out of their own way. Right? You don't want any sort of friendly fire defense out there. 33, a little bit of a mishandle on that ball, too. They're maybe a little bit behind pace here.
Blue Alliance apparently willing to let Red Alliance get all the offense they want.
Yep, an in and out by 33, and they've got 2 balls again. That's going to be another penalty. We saw that in the first match. That's what caused the tiebreaker to go in the way of Blue. So that's going to be another 3 points here.
Still lots of time, but we're going to have a lot of points when all is said and done.
And I think we had a pinning call. We had another illegal defense call on the Red Alliance robot, those Robo Sharks. If that holds up, it's going to be another 3 points for Blue.
Blue Alliance loading up their front rocket.
And Blue is ahead on the field and with those penalties.
And Lightning Robotics is starting their climb successfully in the high level in the middle. Red Alliance already has packed in on their climb, and they're going to get all 3 robots off the first level. So Red Alliance is going to win the climb. Blue Alliance has got to get some points.
Yep, so again, 2 Blue Alliance robots are on level 1. That's 3 points apiece. Yes, we have 2 red robots on level 2 for 6 points each. That's a 6-point differential, but in the time that it took those red robots to climb, I think both of the Blue Alliance robots scored a cargo ball. So that's 3 points for them too. It actually kind of ends up being a wash. The points go into different categories, but the overall score change should be the same.
And of course, just a 1-point differential on the unofficial scoreboard. Red Alliance leading 113 to 112. Wow.
That one, yeah, that's very close. And it looked relatively even on the field. It looked like we're, in for nearly another tie here. We'll have to see if those penalties, though, come back and haunt them. Those penalties, I think they got added in real time, but if they didn't, that can swing the outcome here.
It's just amazing to try and think about scoring 110-ish points and finding out that, oh, well, not enough.
Yep. Like I said, every event up until this one, that would have been a winning score.
Blue Alliance has enough to win. They're going to total up 127 points.
Oh. But 12 of that were penalty points. So sort of 12 free points there. But even if you look at the unpenalized score, take 12 off of that, it's still 115.
Yeah. Amazing. Spectacular. So penalty points make the difference, but man, still Blue Alliance bringing out the big guns, the heavyweights, and they have battled their way into the finals.
Yeah, that huge burst of scoring in terms of cargo at the end of the match, right? Red Alliance had gone back to climb. The Blue Alliance still scoring up until the last second, and they were able to turn that cargo in their favor to more than to match that half climb deficit.
Highlights right now. Offense, here it comes.
And so this is Sandstorm. They're running blind. 43-62, scoring a hatch panel, getting back to do it again. And the Bees robot has been great all weekend. That's how fast it is with that arm that can rotate over the top to grab a hatch panel and score it. See them doing the same thing here, scoring that cargo ball in the middle ship. And really watch the top of your screen. That coordination, 2 blue robots scoring in the same place at the same time, not slowing each other down at all. Good score by the Bees. And then back here again, we saw 36-04. Defense came on that side of the field, so they went and scored on the other side. Cowtown here, 50-50, doing a nice job filling that robot up as well. 36-04, another smart move. They could have gone cargo ship, they could have gone rocket. Since their partner wasn't there at the rocket, they scored where they weren't, knowing they could go to the cargo ship later, and they do. And this one, 33, shoots it in. It bounces back out, right? And that was just after they picked up the penalty for double carrying. So that was a big hit to them in the match. That was kind of when the momentum swapped.
And there's the penalty.
Yep, you can see the counting. That tomahawk chop there, you get 5 seconds. If you don't back off in 5 seconds, you're going to get a penalty, and they did not back off in time.
What was the penalty for?
It's pinning, essentially. You're not allowed to pin a robot for more than 5 seconds.
Gotcha. All right, down to the pits we go with Chris Foster's and the winning Blue Alliance.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. We actually have competitors on either alliance with me now, starting with Jessica, who was on the Red Alliance, and it looked like you were going on to the finals. It was just a 1-point preliminary score decision, and all 3 semifinal matches were very close. They ultimately reversed the score, and what was your reaction when you saw that change?
At first, we didn't want to celebrate too early because we did earlier, and bad things can happen when you do that. The change in who won was a shock to us.
How do you think your robot and your alliance competed otherwise, though?
I'm very proud of us. We worked very well together all throughout all of the limbs, even on our own division.
And the silver lining is, of course, your robot is still in the top 87 in the state, which means you're going to Worlds in a couple of weeks. But what changes do you think you're going to make before then?
Just simple things to make sure, for maintenance mainly, and just to make sure that we don't break.
Jessica, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, turning to Scott now. Scott, you're on the winning alliance, and again, all 3 of these matches were neck and neck. What was it like competing in it from your vantage point?
It's very stressful, but the thing about coming to competitions like this, you got to keep your head on straight. As long as you play your game, you will go beyond yourself. You'll find ways that you didn't even know yourself that you're capable of completing or going at.
You got to be cool under pressure, as you said, and in particular with this last tiebreaker, it looked like there were some penalties that were added to your score late, penalties against the other team that put you on top. Did you see any penalties happen during the course of the match?
I just focused on my robot, but obviously stuff can happen anytime. Things happen the way they are, but I really didn't see anything.
Have you done any advanced scouting on the alliance you'll be facing in the finals?
We have not.
So you're going into it not blind, but very and totally confident in your robot's abilities, right?
Yes.
Well, congratulations, good job, and we'll see you in the finals.
Thank you.
Fellas, back up to you.
All right, Chris, yes, very focused. Focused on him and not the other team. We are getting into our championship matches. A timeout here at SVSU. More when we continue from the Riders Center.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
Welcome back to Saginaw Valley State University. The final round of the Michigan First State Championship is just around the corner, but we're joined by one of the most fascinating competitors in the field so far. This is Abby. Now, your robot and your team was not actually competing in the field today, but you were allowed to come here and actually perform. Why is that?
Well, at Livonia tournament, we won an award that basically said we're allowed to present this award at states, which as a small team, we've never been to states before, so this was huge. And if we do well on this award, then we can go to Worlds, and that will be a first time for us or our sister team. So, I mean, that is just like such a huge opportunity for us. So we're like, well, we can't just pass that up.
Well, this is such a fantastic idea and such an interesting contraption. And in some ways, you've kind of stolen the show. Everybody in here has been watching you maneuver around in this thing. What do you call it, first of all?
It's actually the power loaders from the Aliens movies. So I was inspired because the theme is space, and I'm like, okay, what movies has space in it? There's so many, and one of my favorites was Aliens, so I'm like, I want to make the power loader that Ripley fights the Queen in, so I did.
And did you build this all by yourself?
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
2.5 weeks.
I can't believe you built it that fast. It looks like you've been working on this for a year or perhaps longer. Now, what are actually the tricks to moving it around?
I mean, the base of it has drywall stilts, so I do have like a solid base to work off of. But for the most part, it's kind of like awkwardly shuffling around. There's no, as long as you can balance, you've kind of got the trick down. Where I think one of the biggest parts is actually holding the arms up.
And we noticed that you have had some help in just holding those arms up, so that's very good. What kind of feedback and what kind of reactions have you gotten here today?
I mean, a lot of them have been just like kind of, oh yeah, look this way, time to take a picture. So it's been a little nerve-wracking because I'm not really used to big groups of people. So most of the reaction have been positive. I know that I got in the way once or twice, so I felt kind of bad about that. But for the most part, they've been positive.
You mentioned that at Livonia, you've got one of the newer programs. And what do you think attracted you to robotics, and why do you enjoy it so much?
Well, my brother actually started on one of the bigger teams, and in the Kettering First Center, we noticed that there was another team there that had one kid on it, and we're like, okay, this team is not going to make it. They can't compete with one kid. So my brother actually dropped off of the bigger team to go to this smaller team and help them out. So we kind of, I went through robotics as a middle schooler on a high school team because no one knew how old I was. So I was just there with my brothers. And I guess what called me to robotics was like, I like building things, if you couldn't tell. I enjoy that kind of thing, very hands-on work. So going on a robotics team was very important to me.
Well, this has been fascinating to talk to you. Great job putting this together, Abby, and you should build a counterpart from the Predator series to go with this from Alien.
I want the Satyr stilts, because these are just drywall ones, but I want ones you can run in. And I mean, stilts in general are really cool for cosplay.
Well, we'll look for that at Worlds in a couple of weeks. Thanks very much once again.
Thank you.
Guys, great stuff here in the pits, in the field, on the playing surface, and of course in the stands. Back up to you.
Yeah, what great, colorful characters and people we get here. And, you know, I'm going to approach her afterwards. If I could trick or treat again on Halloween night, I'm going to be renting that from her. That thing is awesome. The aliens on the side, too.
Yeah.
Very nice touch.
I would pick that for my alliance.
Yes, and I would pick these robots for the Red Alliance, Strike Zone, Robo Jackets, Megatron Oracles.
Yeah.
They're performing at a high level.
Yep, so they averaged 95, almost 96 points a match in the semifinal matchups here. Again, led by the two extremely powerful scores, 54-60 and 35-38. So the Strike Zone and Robo Jackets teams. And then, you know, 314 is really playing smart defense.
And here's the Blue Alliance, Gems, Goon Squad, and Lightning Robotics.
This is an interesting alliance. We're going to have a clash of styles here because this is a three-robot all-out offensive style. And they're probably playing with each other better than we've seen most alliances go. So they're doing a great job of staying out of each other's way, of scoring in tight locations, you know, without causing problems. And we saw that, especially 36-04, just very smart, picking the right places to go and score at the right times.
All right, strategy-wise, is the Red Alliance thinking right now, hey, how are we going to get to 105, 110 points? Or are they thinking, hey, we're going to bring more defense into this to bring them down a little bit?
It's the defense, and I think I would be worried for our Blue Alliance here. If they choose to go no defense, I'm worried by how much damage Strike Zone and Robo Jackets are going to do on the red side.
So far, it's a kind of a quiet start for the Red Alliance. Now, Sandstorm is over, and the hatch panels are going on, and we already see the Megatron Oracles robot going right into defensive mode, blocking the near rocket, and hoping that that will thwart any cargo balls going in there.
Yep, so that's what we're seeing. Again, they're just saying, hey, if you can't get this side of the rocket, you can't outscore us. And look at how fast the Red Alliance is scoring, right? They were battling through defense that whole time, but right now, Strike Zone's already scored, they've scored 4 hatch panels. Up at the top, the Robo Jackets have scored 4 as well, I believe.
We saw the Gems robot for the Blue Alliance get hung up on a ball. They had to kind of get pushed off to get their balance back, and now they're going to load a hatch panel up on the second level of their rocket.
And this is smart. 862 came over to play defense. I think if they just let them keep going, Red was going to run away with it. But now, that's some good defense by Lightning over there, trying to slow down, you know, that Strike Zone robot, which would have completed the rocket no problem on their own if they weren't defended.
Yeah, it's a best 2 of 3 here in the championship match. And this is numero uno. We see a little bit of Blue Alliance defense. That's on the strike zone robot for the Red Alliance, and that's Lightning Robotics putting on the defense. And the 314 Megatron Oracles robot appears to be dead.
Yeah, I still can't tell, right? I mean, looking down at their driver station, they're not panicking, right? We see some movement now.
Yeah.
Their strategy is to sit there. And because if you sit there, you can't score hatch panels on that side of the rocket. If you can't put panels on that side of the rocket, it's hard to put cargo in.
Haven't seen a strategy like that so dedicated for so much time of a specific match. Now they're going to move.
Yep, maybe looking at end game, so they're maybe looking at trapping Lightning, not letting that Lightning robot get back onto the ramp. But if they're going to do that, they should start coming back themselves. I mean, if you want to try to do a trap in the end game, you want to be closer to your side of the field.
Right. And it's about time to climb. Our scores are going to be down. One Blue Alliance robot making the climb. Looks like that's Goon Squad. And another Blue Alliance. Now Red Alliance trying to get their robots up. They tried to get a higher climb. They couldn't. Looks like this Blue Alliance is going to have a win if the unofficial score stands.
Yeah, 5460 was trying to climb to level 2. They didn't quite have enough time. And again, I gotta question 314. They tried to play the trap, but if you're going to trap somebody in the end game and then race them to a platform, you got to do it so you're closer, right? You can't have a fair race there. And they did it on the other side of the field. They had to release early. Both robots made it back, so kind of no effect there. And you know, with the defense of 862 coming back, I'm not sure if 314 can afford to just sit there and take away half the rocket like they were doing in that match.
Well, our scoreboard is going to be very interesting to look at. I'm not sure. We're going to have a tie.
It is a tie.
A tie at 99 points.
So, here's the thing with the tie. I did tell you there are no ties because there are tiebreakers. But, yep, in the finals, we are going to have a tie. And actually, I think they were tied in every category anyway, so we would not be able to separate this with tiebreakers.
So if you have a tie, this match becomes meaningful, so it's a best of 2, but if they split, what happens?
So it's still first to win 2 matches. Yeah. So 15 to 15, 24 to 24, 42 to 42, 18 to 18. That is,
there's no tiebreaker.
You can't tiebreak that. I mean, you could flip a coin, but we don't want a finals match decided by a coin flip. So, yep, it's not best 2 out of 3, I guess. We've been saying that because it's almost synonymous,
right.
But it's first to 2 wins.
Okay. Let's get back together in the pits and rejoin Chris.
Well, guys, this isn't the first time this has happened, a tie-breaking situation. This time, though, with no penalties, even Ethan and I are wondering exactly how this tiebreaker is going to be broken. So talk about a competitive way to start the final round. You are on the Blue Alliance, and how do you think that the tiebreaker is going to be broken?
I honestly have no idea. If we do the exact same thing, we're just going to tie again. I suspect it'll be up to one of the defenders pulling or getting penalized, or perhaps we'll try. I'm really not sure. This is a confusing one.
And you guys were actually behind at least very late in that match and then came back when they flashed up the final score. Was it the half climb that pulled you guys even?
Uh-huh. It had to have been the half climb that pulled us even, and the fact that we got a cargo at the last second as well. Our drive team's been absolutely ice cold this event. Everyone in the stands is screaming, cargo, cargo, and they need to keep doing panels, and they're the only ones who know that.
Well, we're hearing right now that it's going to remain a tie, so I think we might just be starting over from square one. You guys played a very good match, but what are the 1 or 2 small things that you need to do better to pull out a win?
Ooh, I think the only thing we could do better is perhaps get 862 to defend an extra cycle off 5460. That'd be the easiest way to win.
Well, this has been a lot of fun and certainly a harbinger of things to come in the final. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. This has been incredibly exciting.
Guys, you heard it here first. Incredibly exciting indeed.
Good stuff, Chris. Thank you. And here's our highlight package of a very well played and a tie in every sense of the word.
So that we saw them placing a null hatch or a hatch panel there where they could have had a starting hatch panel. So maybe maybe a change in strategy for the starting configuration of the field. But again, we're seeing 35-38. The Robo Jackets just absolutely putting those panels up really fast until the defense came over. And there's another one. 54-60 doing the same. Meanwhile, though, 314, they've committed to taking away half the rocket. I don't know if that's enough for them. I think they might have to move more next match, play a little bit more mobile defense. Because this Blue Alliance is finding enough other places to score, not counting, that side of the rocket. But, 35-38, doing a great job. Again, defense went on a strike zone, so the Robo Jackets in red doing a good job of carrying the load for that offensive output. And making it back for a great level 3 climb, no problems. But here we see 54-60, just a little bit late, right? They're up, they need to lift the back one. They lifted at the last second, it's not soon enough. Or 36-04, no problem here. And that was good too. You saw both of those level 1s just before the buzzer. They're using the full 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Any strategical changes for the next match?
I think actually our Blue Alliance caught them off guard. I don't think that our Red Alliance from Dao was going into that match expecting defense at all, especially not that early. And so what we saw again was a ton of hatch panels, not enough cargo in those locations. So I'd like to see the Red Alliance make 2 changes. Number 1, score cargo a little bit earlier so you don't have a bunch of empty hatch panels scored. And number 2, this robot right here, 314. They took away half a rocket. It's effective defense, but they need to do a little bit more. If they were out and mobile, if they could have slowed the other alliance down, stopped one more score, that would have turned the match.
So do a little bit more, you mean by playing better defense?
Yeah, I think they need to, instead of just parking and blocking that side of the rocket, I think they have to trust themselves more, and they have to play that choke point between the rocket and the cargo ship. They need to be willing to move back and forth. Now, focus on getting back to the rocket, right? It's sort of like when you're defending somebody, say in basketball, and you know they're weaker on their left hand, right? You force them to the left, but you're not going to just let them go left, right, with no defense. So you're going to cheat that way. I think cheat towards the rocket, but don't give the cargo ship away for free. Still try to get some shots in.
Good insight, and we'll go down backstairs and reconnect with Chris.
All right, fellas, thank you very much. We're joined by Nolan now from Strikeforce 54-60. He was on the other side of that 99-99 tie. What surprised you about the first round of the finals?
Well, I didn't think it was going to be a tie. I really, at the end of the match, I counted all of it up. I saw that we had the exact same amount of hatch panels and cargo. The only thing I was wondering was penalties and climbing points.
There were no penalties, of course. Have you ever been in a match that was a dead even tie and then there were no penalties to even break the tie?
I have not.
So what do you think that means going forward into the next round of the finals? Do you have to change anything about what you did?
I think we're probably going to change our defense strategy a little bit.
To do what?
We're going to try and stop them from getting more cargo, let them do hatch panels more, and let them do less cargo because cargo's worth more points.
Well, this has been a lot of fun to watch for us, and I hope you're having fun competing in it. Thanks very much.
Yep.
That's Nolan, guys. Back to you.
All right, well, we heard their strategy firsthand.
Yeah, and what Nolan said is more or less what I'm asking them to do. 314. Again, if you get beat for a hatch panel, what they're saying is that's better than getting beat for a cargo ball. So be a little bit more mobile on defense. And then, they are aware of the value of the cargo ball versus the hatch panel. So, again, I'm still hoping on offense that we see a few more cargo being scored instead of all hatch panels first. Sort of weave it together, right? Put a couple hatch panels on, put a couple cargo in.
So after a 100%, no doubt about it, tie, there were no tie breakers that could even unbreak the tie. So we're going to have, I guess it's the first to win 2.
Yep, so it's kind of like
three,
match 1 again, right? Which we're used to, right? We had that with the replay in the semifinals too.
Now, the equipment that they use to control these machines, if you're gaming at home, and we don't know what your gaming habits are, you don't know mine, but I don't think I've seen that kind of a gaming device before.
No, and teams are going to make their own choice. So you can see a laptop on the side. That's kind of a heads-up display. You're going to get data from that about the robot, camera feed. That kind of stuff is coming in. Another great camera feed here. They actually bring a second monitor so it's easier to see. And then we saw some flight sticks on the first team over there and some game pads here as we come across. That's an Xbox controller. And you can choose whatever you want. If it's a USB device that plugs into a computer, you can use it to control your robot. So it really comes down to driver preference. Some drivers like the feel of the big, kind of flight joysticks there that we're taking a look at, but, his co-driver maybe likes the gamepad better.
I've never seen a flight joystick like that. Where does that get used in real life?
You'll see that for computer games, flight simulators,
Okay.
those types of games.
Those are the big boys on the block. Now, here we go. Sandstorm underway.
And I'm seeing a problem with 5460 in the Sandstorm. They're normally much, much faster out to place a hatch panel, and they looked lost that match. So I don't know if there was a camera issue or they just got turned around and couldn't see what was going on.
They're going to unload their hatch panel and get points there. Red Alliance, look at that robot. Megatron Oracles, same strategy, same spot. Maybe the question for this time is how long for?
Yep. And this is good already. It looked like they came out to try to trap there, but they weren't able to get a whole lot done. And just the way that robot is moving backwards and forwards, I wonder if there's some damage to that drivetrain. Maybe they don't trust it to go out and play defense on the field.
Blue Alliance maybe, again, taking advantage. Although they really wasn't a big advantage at all last time. We see the 862 robot, Lightning Robotics, putting some contact on strike zone for the Red Alliance.
Yeah, and we're seeing that defense coming back again. It's coming back early, and it's having an effect. But strike zone, going for a cargo ball this time instead of trying to completely finish the hatch panels. And that's what we wanted to see. And now 314 getting a little bit more ambitious here. They're back out into that choke point, trying to defend more of the rocket.
And still holding on to a cargo ball as the Blue Alliance works on their rocket on the far side. And they've done a good job loading up their cargo ship in the middle. Right now it's the Blue Alliance with a little bit of an advantage.
Good hit on 5462 as they were going to score. And really 862 is playing great defense. Just absolutely, they have them trapped in there. They scored that cargo ball, but I think it took them 30 seconds.
And again, it's the Blue Alliance working on that one cargo rocket, or that one rocket. They've left the other rocket virtually untouched except for 2 cargo balls. Now we're getting into the climb. And the Blue Alliance has a 10-point lead, so Red's got to make something good happen here.
Yeah, if both sides make their climbs, I don't think Red can come back. We'll see. Even if 5460, even if strike zone gets up to the second level, it's not going to be enough.
So this is maybe the most one-sided match we've seen really all afternoon. This is a 26-point lead right now for the Blue Alliance unofficially.
Yeah, and just looking at the field, right, we see a completed rocket for Blue. Red's rocket, it's only 2/3 done. The rockets on the near side of the field are just about equal. Cargo ships are just about equal. I think Blue ran away with this one.
And it's a Blue Alliance win. No ties to worry about this time for Lightning Robotics, Goon Squad, or the Gems. And that's the Gems robot being taken off. As we take a look at the final score. Some penalty points come into play to help the Red Alliance cause, but
yeah, so 101-93 the final for the Blue Alliance. And you could see it. I mean, it was in those cargo points, giving them the edge. Obviously, some extra hatch panels for the Red Alliance, keeping it a little bit closer. We went even on the climbs. Now remember, 5460 missed their level 2 climb, so they should have gotten 3 more points there. And when you're up 4 points in hatch panels but down 12 points in cargo, that means you're scoring too many hatch panels and not enough cargo. So I want to see them go again to those cargo balls a little bit sooner. And I think that the question is 862 playing man defense? Are they going to follow 5460 around the field, or are they playing defense on that side? But I think it might be interesting to have the robots maybe even move around. Maybe have 5460 go to the other side of the field and score for a bit.
Let's go downstairs and reconnect with Chris.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're joined by Kristen now from the Winning Alliance. And after a tie the first time around, you came out and you thumped the Red Alliance pretty good. What do you think were the keys to that convincing win?
We were able to play defense and really stop the scoring ability of Strike Zone.
Your robot specifically, 862, was the robot involved on the defensive attack. Has that always been your robot's main objective, even at other competitions?
This is the first time our robot has actually ever played defense, so it was a lot of fun and something new that we can do now.
So what are the main changes then? How does that shift your approach and your tactics when you are playing defense?
We really have to focus on not letting them collect game pieces and not letting them then put them in the rocket or the cargo ship. And usually when we're scoring, we don't pay attention to anything like that.
Well, you did a great job of that against a very good offensive robot. It seemed like you knocked that Red Alliance robot off its game a little bit. And is the key to just kind of get in the way?
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty cool. And what do you think the key is going into the potentially winning championship match?
We're going to keep the strategy the same, and it worked in the previous match, so hopefully it'll work again.
Okay, Kristen, congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Guys, she's all yours.
Thank you, Kristen. As we continue and look at the highlights, this one a comfortable Blue Alliance win.
Yeah, take a look at, well, that was Strike Zone there, not getting their hatch panel scored at the beginning of that match in Sandstorm, which we expect from them. So a little bit of an issue there. Good scoring here by 862. And this is a good look at the Blue Alliance. 314 defending the one spot they want to defend. And these three blue robots are just moving around, never getting in each other's way. Now 862 here got turned around a little bit, but then proceeded to trap Strike Zone in there for a long period of time. And 3604 is just super smart with where they go with the ball. Our teammates in one spot, they're going somewhere else. And here's that defense, you know, that kind of trapping, knocking the ball free when it comes out, and knowing that Strike Zone has to back up a little bit to get lined up, waiting for them to back up, and then getting in between. Meanwhile, like that far side, Blue just slowly scoring, just filling up the rocket, filling up the cargo ship. And defense can be on the way in or the way out there, right? So we saw 862 saying, okay, you got past me, you scored, now try to get back and get another game piece. 35-38 though, very consistent on this climb. I don't think they've missed one all event long.
Yeah, that design of that robot really helps that climb, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they spent a lot of time, you know, fixing that, figuring it out. And we heard from them earlier about all of their driver practice, and they've just been executing that, you know, perfectly every time they go for it.
So we had a tie, we had a Blue Alliance win.
Yep, both pretty close though, right? 99-9. Obviously the tie was close, but the win was still only 8 points, 101-93.
Let's bring back Chris from the pits.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Joined by Josh here from the Red Alliance, Team 5460. Now, your back's up against it going into the second round of the final. You know you need a win. How do you think you're going to alter your strategy?
Yeah, so we struggled a little bit going to those matches. The Gems 43-62, they're really worthy opponents, and we've changed up a couple things to help us maybe combat that a little bit. They're really good, and we're hoping that maybe we can get a win going into this second match.
You've got a fantastic design to your robot, the way you're able to pick up hatch panels without really centering yourself up against the receptacle. Who designed that?
So we all collectively worked as a group. We automated limelights into our design so that we could have the robot automatically line up to pick up hatches. This helps cut down cycle times tremendously.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Good luck tying the score in the second round of the championship.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Josh from Team 5460, and certainly a lot of drama here as we're looking for perhaps a tiebreaker in the championship round.
Yeah, the Strike Zone team trying to rally Megatron Oracles and Robo Jackets. Do or die time for them.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I was just watching 314 down behind the field prepping the robot. They had some cans of compressed air, and if you flip those over when you spray them, kind of freezing spray comes out. They were using that on their drive motors to try to get them cooled down. You know, I mean, we still want to see that robot be a little bit more active. I think they can't afford to sit next to the rocket for such a long period of the match and still be able to, come back and win it. So still can't tell, right, if there's anything wrong with that drive. They weren't in there with tools trying to take anything apart. So it still might be a conscious strategy decision to have them sit there. And hopefully that's the thing that, we were hearing about in the interview that they're going to change. And again, I'm just to reiterate, I want to see 5460 maybe try to move away from 862. One of the things that you don't notice in this game is sight lines can change. So if you're defending on one side of the field and your driver station's on that side, it's much easier to see and control what you're trying to do with your robot. If then you switch to the other side of the field as the offensive robot and they chase you, they might be chasing you into the side of the field they can see worse on.
All right, now we're watching them set up the field, and the red cargo ship in the middle still has those 2 cargo balls.
Yep.
Those are going to be removed, right?
So those balls will start there. On the middle of the cargo ship, you can either start with one of those, what we call null hatch panels. Those hatch panels, they've got white tape on them to designate that they are null panels. Those panels do not count for points. But if you don't want to start with a null hatch panel, you can start with a cargo ball in there. Now, there are metal tip trays in there, so at the end of Sandstorm, those trays will tip down and the balls will fall out. The benefit is, if you can put a regular panel on that during Sandstorm, you get credit for the 2 points on the panel and 3 points for the cargo ball that's already there, so it's almost like a free cycle, a free score for you. I think Strike Zone was going for that last match when things went awry and they weren't able to score it.
Here's a reset on the teams. Again, Strike Zone, Robo Jackets, Megatron Oracles for the Red Alliance. Here's your Blue Alliance. Looking relaxed and comfortable. Lightning Robotics, Goon Squad, and Gems. It's nice to see the competition level as high as it is.
Yeah,
I would say that we've seen pretty much every robot across the board, perform at a very high level. Strategies might be a little bit off, but the robots have at least performed well.
That's one of the great things about the state championship and the way it's set up. So it is a qualification event. You have to earn your way here. And so early weeks in the season, maybe a week 1 district event, you're not going to see this level of play. You're going to see some robots that break down on the field a lot, or that maybe can only score a couple game pieces, for the entire duration of the match. And that's what makes this event so exciting, is that we have the best of the best here. They're all capable of scoring a ton of points. A team like 314 spent the entire season playing offense. But, there's so many great offensive robots here, and that alliance needed a defender. They've switched roles.
If you're Red Alliance and you're thinking about how you're going to deploy Megatron Oracles in a different way, sometimes you can overthink things. Gosh, they performed fairly well, except for there's such a small line of, such a small difference in terms of what their total offense has been. There's maybe a tendency to make a change that's too big, just because you're trying to, give yourself a chance to go to the, to continue the whole match.
Yeah, and they're different robots, but take a look at the defense 862 is playing compared to the defense that 314 is playing. And I think it's pretty clear that 862 is kind of manhandling 5460, Strike Zone all over the place during the match, and having a much bigger impact. And I'd like to see 314 take on more of that role. The other thing that they could do too is they start with the ball, they can score that ball. So maybe leave them a spot. Right. And at the end of the match, instead of doing, that late defense where they're trying to trap stuff, score that ball on their way back to the, to the level 1 hab for those end game points.
Yeah, a cargo ball is only worth anything if it's put somewhere.
Yeah, and it's such an advantage to start with it in your robot, but last match, it never left the robot, right? So strike zone, maybe leave one spot in the cargo ship open, score in other places, and 314 on your way back, drop it off. You know, they're only going to need an extra maybe 5 seconds to do that.
Thumbs up, and it's go time here. Blue Alliance can win with a victory in this match. And Red Alliance has got to find a way to get ahead on the scoreboard and stay there, or else this will be over.
Much better autonomous out of the Red Alliance, or Sandstorm mode. 35-38 did trap one of those cargo balls in the side. They're going to get double credit for that, essentially, scoring 5 points for the cargo and the hatch panel.
314 playing defense. Stationary defense, not quite yet. They're a little bit more mobile.
That's it, right? Trap them there. Don't make it easy. What, that was 6 seconds maybe that they held them up. If they can do that every time that robot comes in to score, it's going to make a huge difference. Also, don't let lightning through right here. 314, if they stop 862, that's free scoring time for 5460 on the other side of the field. So they protected them there for an extra, say, 2 scores.
Lightning Robotics with no cargo ball to deposit. So kind of a standoff there against the Megatron Oracles.
And this is much better for Red. They've got sort of their gameplay established. Still don't have a defender over there. 862 is still thinking about, you know, getting 314 out of the way, because 314 now is playing great defense. And in the absence of that, like 5460 and 3538 are just going nuts with the scoring. They're up 14 points already.
Good mobility there for Blue Alliance, but they've got a ways to go on the scoreboard as Red Alliance has got a 20-point lead here. Still lots of time. And we still see Megatron Oracles in defense mode. Blue trying to mix it up a little bit.
For sure. 5462 strike zone doing the smart thing. They scored 2 hatch panels, put the cargo in. Scored 2 hatch panels. Now I want to see them go for a cargo. And they are, right? So they're trying to maximize those points. They're making good adjustments. 314 as well. Look at how empty this near side rocket is. They've actually been defending both sides of the rocket this match.
So a strategic switch is paying off for the Red Alliance. Now it's time to get into the climb, and the Blue Alliance is way down on points. And let's see if the Red Alliance can get all 3 robots in position. Looks like Megatron Oracles is going to give up and go right for the climb.
Oh, they're up.
Wow.
They coasted up, so they actually made it on top of level 1 after the match ended. That's okay. If things are moving, the referees will wait until up to 5 seconds after the end of the match to score it. So they waited till the very last second to get back and get up. But actually, based on the way that match went, I don't think it mattered. They were up by so much.
Unofficially, Dan, this might be our most one-sided win in any match so far today.
Yeah, I think so. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying. 862 was trying to play defense. This time 314 doing a good job of slowing them down, not letting them get over to start the defense. And 5460 and 3538 had more or less a practice match, situation for the first minute of this match. And they can both score a ton of points if you let them do that.
Red Alliance takes off. They are going to force a third and deciding championship match here in this championship.
Yeah, so good adjustments again. I mean, I like the way Red was playing. I like 314, a much bigger contribution. And I think that, they did a good job of not making it necessarily obvious that they were stopping 862 from coming over to defense. And so they might be able to trap them again.
Look at the swing in cargo points.
Yep.
Wow.
And hatch panels, so 10 points in hatch panels, 21 points in cargo. They picked up some penalty points. I think one of that was for a pin, or 3 of those points were for a pin. I'm not sure what the other 6 were for. But that's the thing. Like, if these 2 alliances, if you go all alliance versus all offense versus all offense, I think Red's going to win the majority of those matches. So 862 needs to find a way through. If 314 is defending, this near side of the field, maybe 862 should look to cross on the top side of the field and then come down and play defense. But they can't afford to be, trapped out for that long.
It was a match the Red Alliance had to have. They got it. And they are still competing and still battling here.
Is that sandstorm mode. We saw a score again by 54-60, everything working, and here's where 314 is locking down that entire side this time instead of just the rocket. And here's 35-38. That was a little sketchy, but it counts.
So it wasn't a big defensive adjustment, but just a little bit was enough to make a big swing.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a couple of moments where 862 could have crossed the field. We saw some indecision from them, and I want to see them thinking defense first next match.
See Goon Squad there loading that mid-cargo ship.
Yep, and again in the middle, a little bit of a miss there. So at that point in the match, they knew they were behind by a lot, and that might have been some rushing by the driver.
What is Blue Alliance thinking about right now, strategy-wise?
I think they have to look at the difference between match 1 and match 2. Well, match 2 and match 3, right? Match 1 was the tie. Match 2, 862 got across the field early, shut down 54-60, shut down strike zone. In the second match, 862 Lightning not able to get across the field, and strike zone just went nuts with the points. They need to focus on getting their defender in position as soon as possible in the match.
Here we go, one more time with Chris Fosters.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined by Nate from 35-38 on that winning Red Alliance that has forced a winner-take-all match in the championship round. High-stakes environment, Nate. Congratulations on pulling it out. And you were telling me that your Alliance changed its strategy from match 1 to match 2. What did you guys do differently?
So one of the big things that we changed is we had 54-60 end up. So what they did was they placed 2 hatches on the rocket instead of 4. So they were able to open up more scoring locations for themselves. And then we hatched off the front of the cargo ship, which allowed 54-60 to put balls in there. So basically we just opened as many scoring locations as possible and fill them as quick as we could before opening up more.
And that seemed to be reflected if you look at the box score in the cargo category. You put up over 50 cargo points.
Yep. Yeah, we got a lot of cargo that match. It was really nice.
A ton. And now, did you get the sense that you caught the other Alliance off guard by your change in strategy?
Yeah, I did, because they were, at the end of that match, they were always, once we had 4 hatches up, they would always come across. In that match, they didn't, because we only did 2, and then we did 2 balls. So I think we threw them off guard by doing that.
So what do you think you do differently now going into the third match? Do you think you'll change your strategy again?
If it's broke, don't fix it. We'll probably do the same thing again.
I like the way you think. Congratulations. Good luck in that third round.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's Nate from 35-38. We'll revisit with you in a little bit.
All right. And some final tweaks going on as we will come back with our final match of the afternoon. We will crown a champion when we come back to Saginaw Valley State.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
The Ryder Center is rocking. We are ready for the final match of the day to determine the 2019 Michigan First Robotics State Champion. Ethan is in the field, and we've talked to you a couple of times already today, and I wanted to bring you back on because after the first match of the final, which essentially didn't count because it was a 99-99 tie, you told me that your alliance competed a perfect match just to tie the other alliance. Well, now here after the most recent match, you guys thumped them and put up 113 points, so was that even more perfect than the first match?
the first match we tied them 99-99 because they were playing a strategy in which they blocked in front of a rocket and completely knocked out 6 scoring locations. When they played that strategy again the next time, we played 3 offense for the beginning instead of defending the entire time, which gave us more margin, thankfully.
And so what do you think you're going to do in the winner-take-all match?
In the winner-take-all match, I imagine we'll do the same thing and try and execute better. We had some failures to rotate appropriately in the last match and got hung up on the defense a lot, but I think if we can avoid that, we should see something similarly to the second match.
How do you think you get around the defense?
For us, it's often as simple as shoving them out of the way. Everyone on our team has pretty solid drivetrains, so we should be able to just push them out of the way and score.
Okay, Ethan of Team 4362, we really appreciate it, and good luck.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, and now for the call of the championship match. Once again, back up to Dan and Dan.
All right, good confidence. You got to have that now. If you don't trust your game plan, you don't trust your robots, well, you're in trouble.
Yep, for sure. I think he was talking a little bit about, the mistakes they made in the last match when he said rotations, right? 862 needs to rotate to defense. That's what missed. 862 kind of got held up on the defense at 314, got to the middle of the field, couldn't decide what they wanted to do. They need to just go hit somebody at that point. You can't leave 5460 alone for that long in the match. And, from the other interview too, knowing that 5460 or that Red Alliance realizes the fact that the defense is coming and that they started scoring cargo balls sooner, right? Putting up the hatch panels, then the cargo balls, then the hatch panels, then the cargo balls. They're sort of maximizing the score that they have before the defense arrives as well.
So we are locked and loaded for a best of 1. Here it is, last go-around for these two alliances. Red Alliance with the Strike Zone, the Robo Jackets, and the Megatron Oracles. Megatron's defensive change in strategy was the swing that they needed last match. Will Blue Alliance have a counterpunch? We'll find out. Here's what they have. The Gems, the Goon Squad, and the Lightning Robotics.
Yep, so in Sandstorm, again, we want to watch 3538. They're going to be going for that side of the cargo ship hatch panel to trap one of the cargo balls in place. If they hit that, that's good. That's going to make give them a big head start in this match. Let's also watch 5460's Autonomous. They're going to try to come out and put a hatch panel on the bottom of the rocket and hopefully make it back to pick up a second one. Then the next thing we want to watch for is after kind of 1 or 2 rotations of scoring, 862 needs to make the transition to defense. We want to see if they get held up or if they can get clean through and start shutting somebody down on the Red Alliance.
A lot of anxious moments right now as everybody kind of resets, recalibrates, and we'll see what we get out of these teams.
If so, teams in here, you might see some thumbs down. They're essentially waiting for their cameras to boot up and connect. Sometimes they're temperamental getting them started here at the beginning, so the field crew is going to give them time to get that connected. We can see that there is a camera live action picture there, so they are ready for this match.
So Goon Squad loading up the cargo ball in the cargo ship for the Blue Alliance.
Yep, and both Red Robots accomplished their Sandstorm tasks. 3538 already out with the second hatch panel, as is 5460. So a perfect start to the match for Red.
Megatron Oracles defending the near rocket.
And they're in that higher posture again, which is what we wanted to see. 3604 trying to get through, but they couldn't. So they gave up and scored somewhere else, which is smart.
Eventually, they've got to crack that defense,
Watch
though.
862. They need to be crossing the field now, and they are.
So there's a little contact there. So our defense is percolating just a bit.
That was smart. 862 knew that they didn't want to have to fight 314 to get on the defensive side of the field, so they crossed on the other side. And that saved them a ton of time. Now it's going to be a battle again. Can 5460 score through the defense?
Strike Zone having some challenges with the Goon Squad Blue Alliance robot. But a nice maneuver. Oh, they lost the cargo ball, though. So they have to
862
wait.
not moving. They're disconnected. 862 has dropped connection, but it's back. So they were only out for a few seconds.
Yeah, we lost losing time means you're losing points.
I would say that gave 54-60 kind of that one free score. That's not going to end the match, though. They can still hold on to this one.
Megatron Oracle still in that choke point there, waiting to put some aggressive defense in place. Very close on the scoreboard, though. Lots of time left. Blue Alliance working on that far rocket, putting up the hatch panels. And we see the Gems robot gobbling up another cargo ball and actually mishandling it.
And a miss from 54-60.
So this is
35-38, almost going over, but they saved themselves.
I'm going to say this is not going to be a perfectly played match, but at this point it doesn't really matter about perfection. You just got to grind this one out.
Okay, and the defense has left now. Everybody's heading back for endgame, so a couple of quick scores for the Red Alliance, and now they're going to climb, and it is tied on the real-time score.
Megatron Oracles hasn't made their climb effort yet. See if they can speed it up and get up there. They did, and it looks like we're going to have
862 going for level 2, not making it. 54-60 not making it, so endgame looks to be a wash. I think Red was slightly ahead, right?
Red Alliance has a 12-point lead unofficially. And everyone holding their breath now, waiting for the final numbers to be tabulated. And that 862 robot, the Lightning Robotics, they needed a successful climb to tweak a few more points.
So it's hard to tell from here. We can't see the ends of the cargo ships to know what is scored in them. But the points that I could see are very close. I think it was a 2-point difference in the points that I could see.
So the defensive strategy that the Red Alliance employed in these last 2 matches made a big difference.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, just looking at even that last match, what was scored on this side of the field? There was 1 cargo ball in the cargo ship. There were 2 panels down low, and I think maybe 2 cargo balls down low. And that was it. Nothing else on this side. So they almost shut down an entire side of the field. Now the other side, yeah, was more or less fully scored.
There's a whole bunch of officials huddled around that table.
Yep, so they are...
What do you think's happening?
They are talking to the scorekeeper. So the scorekeeper sitting at the table there, that's the person who actually inputs the final scores. Usually if they're talking to the scorekeeper, it's because they have to make an adjustment to the scores in the system before posting it.
And whoever wins is going to be going home with a state championship. And I don't know if it's possible we'll have another dead-on tie, but anything goes.
It's possible, but should be unlikely. Like I said, endgame was even. The points that we could see from up here were within 2 points of each other. And if what is scored on the ends of these cargo ships cancel out those 2 points, it could be another tie. And in that case, if it were another tie, I think it would have to be a tie in Sandstorm. It would have to be a tie in Endgame. I think it would also have to be a tie in hatch panels and cargo. So if there is a tie, I think it would be a full tie.
Which we've had before.
Which we've had before. But now the referees are looking at what I assume is the rules on, a tablet there. So if they're looking at the rules, that means they want to make sure that they've got the proper interpretation of a call. They want to make sure it's called correctly and nothing's missed. And that call very well would decide, the outcome of this match.
That's the Strike Zone robot, and we'll go downstairs and connect with Chris.
Yeah, so they're putting their heads together at the official scores table, guys. And look, the preliminary score that you see, that is finalized from the moment that the clock expires. But the judges were actually inputting some points for the Blue Alliance because of their hab climb into the official scoring mechanism even after the game clock expired on the match. So what we're looking at realistically is 12 more points for the Blue Alliance to make this match tied at 95-95. There were no penalties assessed, and so we could be looking at deja vu all over again with another tie that does not have a tiebreaker. And believe it or not, what they're discussing right now is the possibility of replaying this match again because of another true tie. And I'll keep you posted if I hear anything else.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Does make sense, the response. We saw some smiles over there after they made their final adjustments, and kind of like haha, this is pretty funny if this happens again. So could definitely come out to a tie here. I know we're not supposed to have to play this many matches, so the system may actually not be able to handle another match. And I think they might actually be conferring again, you know, how do they want us to technically play the last match?
Well, what do you mean the system can't handle? What does that mean?
So essentially, the program that they're running has a certain number of slots for each matchup, and you play a match and it fills that slot. Well, we already had one tie, and I think they might not have expected a situation where you could have two ties. So if they fill up the 4 open spots to play a match in and put scores in, now we got to figure out how to play the last match. Now, they can either replay a match, they can go back to one of those 4 and play over it, or they could play what we would call a test match, where they just put the team numbers in and let them play the match. But they want to make sure that it is going to then populate through the system so that we get a true winner posted to, you know, the internet and the database and everything like that. So what likely will happen in that event is they would replay the very last match, and it would get that this potential tie that we're looking at right now would get wiped out. We would replay that match as our 5th match, but 4th match in the system records.
So is it like a scoreboard that doesn't recognize overtime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Well, it recognized the first overtime. It
But
can't
not-
handle
right,
second
not a
overtime.
second
Not-
OT.
no double OT.
Right. And, you know, no one's leaving. I mean, they
Nope.
want to see how this is going to play out.
It's not often you get a 5-match best-of-3 semifinals.
No, that's a new one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so something I just saw, the lead FTA on the field has just left the field.
FTA stands for?
First Technical Advisor. So he's the main guy in charge of this stuff. He just left the field and went outside. And I think the reason why something like that would happen is that he is making a phone call.
And who's he calling?
He would be calling first headquarters.
Got some smart people there in New England.
Not that it matters to anyone that's viewing, but there is bad cell reception in here. That's why he's
Yep,
outside.
Exactly.
So let's do our highlight reel and see how this potential tie came into being.
That's that Sandstorm. We saw 35-38 on the top of the screen, scoring a hatch panel, and then making use of this sort of undefended time at the beginning of the match. And there's that 314 high defense, blocking them out. Good decision to just give up on that, score somewhere else for now, worry about it later. 35-38 again scoring, and I think we can just barely see in the back, that's the 862 robot crossing away from 314, taking the open lane to get onto defense there. And that, I think, was what turned it back into a tie. Another good score, and 35-38 has been doing this all match long. You know, just working that side with no defense, putting up a ton of points.
So my thinking is this. It's pretty likely we're going to play another match.
And it's official now. They just showed on the screen. It is a tie, 95-95, and it is a true tie. There can be no winner determined. Sandstorm, hatch panel, cargo, hab climb, and penalty points are all identical.
So, by default, we have to play another match.
We have to play another match. And the question is just how we're going to do that, whether there is an issue with the system or not. A good look at the end game climb here. And
if this 862 robot gets up, Blue wins, right?
Absolutely. And they just ran out of time. And that was their choice because they were defending so late in the match. They could have left 5 seconds earlier and gotten those points. Same time on the other side of the field, 5460 had an opportunity to climb to level 2 and could not execute on that either.
That is whack.
There we go. And the first tie was 99. This tie is 95 points. So in the same ballpark too.
And this is one of those things where, you know, we referenced this earlier. Are we really going to lose, you know, with having to play, you know, 5 matches, 2 of them dead even ties?
Yeah. I mean, this is an epic kind of back and forth matchup here. And the winner's going to feel great at the end of this. And the loser is it's rough to lose after you score these kind of points and get through this many matches. It seems like it's always something here at the state championship where we get a little bit of a delay while we figure something out, and maybe we can get some more information.
Let's get some clarity on all the rules that are in play here with Chris Foster's and one of the FTAs.
Yeah, that's right. Don't ask me for clarification on that, guys. That's why I have Alex here, a first technical advisor. I know there was a lot of brain power that was being exchanged behind the scenes there as you guys figured out what to do in a situation that sounds like has never happened before, where we've had 2 matches end in ties in the final round. Is that correct?
Yeah, nothing like I've seen this before. We've never had to be able to go through all the tie-breaking criteria and have an absolute tie like we just did. So we just wanted to confirm with First HQ to make sure that everything was going to display properly and that we were going to be able to continue the tournament without compromising the rules and integrity of the game.
In talking to you, it sounded like you guys realized that this match was tied again pretty early in the process, and then that began another process in which you wanted to make sure that there were no software glitches or anything like that so that you didn't put up the incorrect result.
Yeah, so we just wanted to verify with First HQ that everything was going to go correctly and that when we posted on the screen, it didn't show the wrong team as winning and making it so that there were early celebrations and having to tell people that, hey, we actually do have to go to another match in order to figure out who the winner is of the competition.
Now, did you talk to First headquarters directly?
Yes, so that's what I ran out there for, was just going to make sure that, talk to them on the phone and say, hey, this is the situation we're in. We just want to make sure that we're doing everything correctly and that we end up with the correct result at the end.
What did they say when you told them that you had your second tie of the championship round?
They were quite surprised. When I talked to them, they're like, this is something that we've never seen before. So they went through and made sure that it was going to show up how we did. And then after talking to them, we just went through the same process that they told us to go through.
Certainly another really interesting wrinkle to add to the history of First Robotics. And what do you think this says about just how evenly matched the 2 alliances are in this final?
So I think it's really great to see the two alliances that are evenly matched. It's really fun and bringing a lot of excitement to everyone here.
Certainly has, and the audience hasn't missed a beat. They're still rocking and rolling. So, Alex, thank you very much for the clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
Guys, hope that sheds some light on what went on behind the scenes. Back up to you.
All right, thank you, Chris. I'm sure that he was just validating what Chris was thinking should happen, right?
Yeah, no, Chris knew it all along. No doubt about that. And it's more or less what we were inferring from the Chris's eavesdropping or inside information there. We just, when weird things happen, you want to make sure that you know what's going to display on the audience screen, because the worst outcome there would have been if they had posted it, the system decided to pick a winner for some reason, and now they've got to go back and say, no, it was a tie. Forget what the screen showed. We have to play another match. So it's always easier to double check that before you post it.
So what are these teams doing now, knowing that they've got a 5th match minute 20 or minute 40 left before we, get the engines back on the field.
Yeah, so if they're smart when they came off that field and the display or the score didn't come up right away, they should have been starting to reset their robots. So it's weird, it's unlikely, but at the same time, as a competitor, what can you do to give yourself an advantage? And that is be ready for the next match if it happens. And it looks like they've had enough time. We see actually still some battery changing going on, so maybe some of the robots not taking advantage of that time in the way that they should have. But the Blue Alliance, the key is 862 getting over there and getting in the way and messing up 54-60's day is what changes the score from 119 to 95 for the Red Alliance and brings it back into a match that you can win. So they've now figured out using that top channel is the great way to go to get across the field unimpeded and get on defense fast. So expect them to do that again. And look, it's one extra score. If somebody gets to level 2 in the end game, if somebody scores an extra ball or an extra hatch panel, you can win this match. So 5 matches deep on the 5th match here. I think it's almost like trust your drivers to execute a little bit better. Because a big change at this point, and I don't see a big strategy change that's going to work out to your advantage.
And a successful climb by the Lightning Robotics robot in the last match would have made them champions.
Right. And again, or 54-60, strike zone in the same position and unable to climb as well.
Yeah, we are into some very fine details of scoring, competing, and winning.
Yeah, and I can tell you there is essentially no playbook for one of these matchups going to 5 matches. I think it happened to me in 2010. My alliance was playing against another great alliance, and we went 5 matches deep to decide that one as well. We had 2 ties. And really, when you hit that 5th match, it's like, it's so much back and forth, and it really just comes down to execution. And you have more of a chance of giving the match away if you try to get too fancy, if you try to do something you're not ready for.
And this is really kind of maybe where I'm thinking that mental strength and focus comes into play because, every match your adrenaline goes up, and then it comes down when you realize you're going to play another one. Up, down, up, down. And if you're joining us now, you're going to find out that the Strike Zone Robo Jackets and Megatron Oracles make up the Red Alliance. And the Blue Alliance, a worthy adversary indeed. With the Lightning Robotics, Goon Squad, and Gems.
Yep, we've played 4 matches. Match number 1, 99-99 tie. Match number 2, Blue wins 101-93. Match number 3, Red comes back, wins 119-79. And match number 4, the match we just watched, another tie, 95-95.
Separation just isn't there between these two teams, which is exactly what you want.
Definitely exciting matches.
So Dave Verbrugge, one of our good friends on a previous Michigan First Championship broadcast, is explaining to the entire group how this is has all come about.
Yeah. So essentially the way it works is you can have ties in the first matches, but if you get to that 4th match, which is supposed to end the tournament, right, one way or another, there are tiebreakers in play in the finals. There should have been a winner in that match if any of the tiebreakers could have decided it. But since none could, we have to play a 5th match.
Cumulative Sandstorm bonus points 6. Play it again.
And he was actually saying, too, that the tiebreakers go beyond just that match. It was actually cumulative points across the entire series, and that was still tied.
So a fitting end. And we'll see what happens in this 5th and potentially final match.
35-38, a little slower, but still sink the hatch panel. 36-04, really struggling to score the cargo ball as well. So a little bit slower start for both sides, but not too bad. 314, though, is in a great position to defend 2 robots at once here.
Strike Zone drops a hatch panel on the ground and goes back and reloads for another one and plants that one successfully for the Red Alliance. 314, Megatron Oracles. You know where they're going to be, defense.
And there's 862. They placed a hatch panel across the field, and now they're on Strike Zone again. Strike Zone does get the hatch panel placed, though. That's not too bad.
Goon squad working unimpeded in the middle, dropping a cargo ball in the cargo ship. And we've seen a change in strategy. Looks like Megatron Oracles is, well, no, I guess he is planted right where he was.
Yep, right back at it. 862 right back at it. This is essentially a replay of the last match thus far. Blue off to a little bit better start here, though. Good move by 5460 to get through the defense, but now they've got to find a way to get to the cargo ship to score.
Blue Alliance packing in the cargo ship in the middle, and now some little bit more defense coming from the Red Alliance, courtesy of Strike Zone, as they bump with Lightning Robotics. Now Lightning Robotics is caught between two Red Alliance robots.
Yep, good move by Strike Zone there, switching low to the rocket ship to place that the side the defense wasn't on.
40 seconds left. It's a comfortable lead for Blue Alliance. Red's got some work to do.
Yep, 35-38, a little slow on scoring there. They're slightly behind on the rocket ship. Blue now, with that far rocket ship, a couple quick cargo point scores, and they've got what is turning into a decent lead.
Red Alliance is going to send Strike Zone into their climb. That's a successful climb. We'll see what Blue Alliance can do here, but it's Red Alliance that's got to make up some points. We see Megatron Oracles on their climb.
Yep, Robojacket's late.
Robojacket's late. They're going to get on there, but unofficially, it looks like it's Blue Alliance.
If 3604 got up, and they did, this is definitely Blue Alliance favored right now, but on the red side, we do have two robots on level 2. They're going to pick up 6 extra points for that.
So 98-63 for Blue Alliance sounds great. However,
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think Red is going to have enough comeback in the end game. Blue, just looking at the field, they've got an extra on the top of that far side rocket. They've got an extra 10 points right there. They've got an extra 3 in the cargo ship, and the rest of it looks even. So with 6 points coming back to the Red Alliance, I think Blue still wins.
But the all-important final numbers must be tallied. We've already had 2 full-blown ties. This one is a Blue Alliance win. 98 points for the Blue Alliance.
And it is still pretty close.
Red Alliance had late points, but not enough to get over the top.
And again, all credit to 862. The matches that they found a way to the other side of the field is very good. And here we see, final score 98 Blue, 90 for Red. Red making up a lot of those points that we were talking about in the end game, but again, not enough. Not enough points to overcome that. Those cargo points really standing out there as the thing. Red had open spots where they could have still scored cargo. Blue did a pretty good job of filling everything up.
It seems pretty obvious, I guess, Dan, that pretty much anybody who won cargo points, that way, if you win in cargo points, you put yourself in a very good position to win overall.
Yeah, for sure. Cargo points, and that's what we talk about. You get points for hatch panels, but hatch panels enable the cargo scoring. So Blue did a good job of maximizing the few hatch panels they put on to get the most cargo points they could. Red, not able to get those last few cargo balls in thanks to 862's stellar defense.
Let's pick up our highlights and see how Blue Alliance was able to execute and win.
And that wasn't great. 35-38, knocking away a hatch panel there to place a new one. Kind of a wasted move. 314 doing a good job here at the beginning, slowing down the gems. But they got bumped a little bit out of position, and 3604, who I've been saying, if there's a smart place to score on the field, they're scoring. And they took advantage of that movement. Couple more cargo balls by 3604. Meanwhile, the gems just slowly adding these cargo panels, or the hatch panels. And here's the defense. Strike Zone just struggling to get in position to shoot these balls.
And I'll tell you what, you can't really take anything away from what the Red Alliance did.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's 5. We go 5 matches. The point separation in every match was not much.
Now, we had the 1 blowout win for Red, but all of the Red losses were very close. 8 points.
Yeah.
And here's the end game. This time 314 getting up, 54-60 getting up, and 35-38 getting up. We saw 862 again, not going to make this climb. I don't know if they didn't try or they didn't have time, but they didn't need it.
So there's our state champions, the Gems, Goon Squad, Lightning Robotics. We'll hear from the winning team when we come back to the Riders Center in just a moment.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because DTE is on pace to reduce carbon emissions by more than 80%. We're adding billions of dollars to Michigan's economy and providing thousands of jobs. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. You get there by doing it. DTE Energy.
Genius is not born. It's nurtured. It's curious. Genius takes teamwork, patience. It keeps going until that moment when it shines. Introducing the Generation Genius Project, a consumer's energy educational initiative to inspire a passion in science, technology, engineering, and math. Discover the genius in all of us.
First Robotics Game Day is brought to you by DTE Foundation, Dow Chemical, Ford Motor Company, and Consumers Energy.
Blue Alliance comes up victorious. They went the distance and then some. There's your winning team and alliance. Let's go downstairs and talk to the winners. Here's Chris.
Dan and Dan, thank you very much. We've got two members of the Winning Alliance joining me now, starting with Luke, who is one of the competitors in the field for Team 862. What a marathon match. You guys ended up playing 5 times. You tied twice. And mentally, how did you stay composed and adrenalized to get through such a long championship round?
Well, like you said, it was definitely a marathon. It was really tough, but it's something we hadn't done many times before, getting ready for matches. So that adrenaline, really kept us going to just keep fighting the fight, adapting, overcoming, and adjusting our strategy to play with all the wonderful alliances we faced.
And in what proved to be the decisive round of the championship, your robot in particular played such a key role on the defensive side. And in talking to some of your teammates, that's not a role that your robot is accustomed to playing in, but you certainly rose to the occasion today.
Yeah, it was definitely something new, but like I said, you really need to just adapt to all the new things that are going on the field and improvise a strategy for each thing and really just try to do your best with what you're given, because so many teams here are so wonderful. So you really need to make decisions on the fly and adjust for everything that they're doing.
You told me how much this state tournament and championship meant to you specifically as a senior. You're going to Worlds now, and that's great. You're going to compete very well there, but knowing how good the competition is with Michigan First Robotics specifically, how does it feel to go out on top?
I mean, this is my season, really. Worlds is fantastic and all, but Michigan teams, they're the best. Michigan is the #1 district, in my opinion. There's so many powerhouse teams here, so to win it all here was just the highlight of any season that I could ever have.
Well, congratulations, a fantastic run here in Saginaw. Enjoy the drive back down to Canton and have fun celebrating.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we're turning to one of the mentors and the coaches for the Winning Alliance. His name is Steve Ambrose, and you happen to also be the Chief Information Officer for DTE, one of the chief sponsors of this event. So this is really a double win for you. You win on the field, and DTE plays a big part of it. So how are you feeling right now?
Unbelievable. My voice is hoarse because it's just a capstone of a wonderful season. It's beautiful, and I agree. Michigan State Championship is just a highlight of our season, no doubt about it.
Can you give me your thoughts of just the championship match, the back and forth, the 2 ties, and then ultimately the winning match? What were you thinking?
It just goes to show the level of performance in Michigan to have these alliance play at the very top shelf and be matched at the top shelf. And it just came down to a no mistakes playoff. You had to not make a mistake to do it. It's just a fabulous showcase for Michigan.
Did you lose your voice because you were shouting advice or just shouting like a madman?
Oh, no, I turn it over to the drive coach. My job is to keep the robot healthy and keep the kids fed. And the drive coach and the team, they do a fabulous job of playing it out on the field.
Well, that's awesome. And what do you think this means for DTE? Why do you think DTE is so excited to be here?
Well, DTE loves the FIRST program. It's fabulous. We support all the levels through FIRST in Michigan, and we think being here as a title sponsor is a great way to show the kind of amazing things that FIRST in Michigan does.
Being here as the title sponsor, and then you win the state championship on the DTE field, no less, under a DTE banner. So pretty great day to be part of Michigan First Robotics and DTE. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, happy faces all around. A new state champion has been crowned. Back up to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. Yeah, I think they call that karma when it all just comes together. Dan, some final thoughts from you on today's activities.
Man, I don't know what else to say. 5 matches in the final to find a winner. I think we have 3, almost the unexpected winner. I think if you looked at paper, some of the other alliances with a little bit more firepower, but the teamwork from that alliance and the defense from 862 was enough to overcome it.
What a great afternoon we've had here. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Thanks to our great production crew. We'll say so long. So for Chris Fosters and Dan Kimura, I'm Dan Gutowski. We say so long from Saginaw Valley State University in Saginaw, Michigan. The Michigan State champions are the Lightning Robotics, the Goon Squad, and the Gems, sponsored by Ford. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live on the ESPN app, or to watch the entire event on replay, as well as other games on our family of networks. Log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.